Chapter 401. As soon as Qi Ziguang stepped forward, the 8 initial realm martial cultivators backed off. They glanced at the black-faced martial cultivator and Lao Hei's black corpse and shuddered. Even Lao Hei was in such a state. If they were hit by that attack, they would definitely die. Therefore, they decided not to step forward. Since Qi Ziguang was going to do it himself, they would just stand aside and watch the show. This kid is pretty strong, but it's a pity that he didn't respect young Master Qi. Now, young Master Qi is going to do it himself. That's right. This guy is too arrogant. How dare he look down on young Master Qi? He should be taught a lesson. The crowd stood aside and pointed at Long Yu, who was wearing a mask. Yi Luan stood there quietly, not saying a word. He glanced at Long Yu and discovered that under the mask, Long Yu's eyes were completely calm. Could it be that he can even deal with a cultivator of the Renhua realm? Yi Luan was even more curious about Long Yu. He didn't expect Long Yu to be so daring. After all, he had never seen Long Yu fight against a cultivator of the Renhua realm, so he didn't know how strong Long Yu was. Although Yi Luan didn't step forward, he would definitely help if Long Yu was in danger. Simply put, Yi Luan and Long Yu were already in an invincible position. However, Qi Ziguang was not willing to lose face just like that. No matter what, Qi Ziguang had to get back at him. Since Long Yu was the one who ruined his reputation, he had to get back at Long Yu. "You've successfully angered me." Qi Ziguang walked forward step by step. As he got closer to Long Yu, a cold smile appeared on his face. "Aren't you the one who asked for all of this?" Long Yu asked calmly, as if he didn't care about Qi Ziguang at all. This caused a vicious look to flash across Qi Ziguang's eyes. He knew that with Yi Luan around, it was impossible for him to kill this masked man called Mountain Ghost today. However, he had to teach this Mountain Ghost a lesson. At the very least, he had to injure him. All of this could only be achieved if Yi Luan couldn't react in time. Guard against Yi Luan. Qi Ziguang glanced at the remaining 8 initial realm subordinates behind him. The meaning in his eyes was easily understood by all 8 of them. As long as Yi Luan made a move, they would definitely fight to the death to stop Yi Luan, giving Qi Ziguang a chance to kill the masked man, Mountain Ghost. Even if he couldn't kill him, he would at least severely injure him. Otherwise, Qi Ziguang would really be unable to raise his head in Yellow Sand Heaven City in the future. Then, Qi Ziguang raised his head and looked at Long Yu. He gathered the power of the yellow sky, sand whirling in his hands, and attacked Long Yu. Long Yu had originally spread the Yellow Springs realm around him. However, at this moment, the Yellow Springs realm was actually destroyed by the power of the yellow sky sand whirling. The power of the yellow sand was about to hit Long Yu. Samsara awakening. Long Yu hovered in the air. His eyes flashed, and the netherworld Qi suddenly burst out. The power of Samsara wrapped around the power of the yellow sky, sand whirling, and weakened it by several times. Finally, the Yellow Springs realm was able to block the power of the yellow sky sand whirling. Yellow sand break. Qi Ziguang seemed to have expected that the power of the yellow sky sand whirling alone wouldn't be able to defeat Long Yu so easily. However, his methods weren't that simple. With a single thought, the yellow sky flyaway sand laws that had swept out instantly transformed into a large clump of yellow sand that flew towards Long Yu. When it neared the top of his head, it exploded with a loud bang. Just like how Long Yu had used the true spirit of the nomological laws of the moon to form the killing moon saber light, Qi Ziguang's yellow sand break was also an application of the nomological laws of the yellow sky sand whirling and could unleash a stronger power of the nomological laws of the yellow sky sand whirling. Yellow Springs Barrier. When Long Yu saw this, he raised his hand and formed several layers of the Yellow Springs Barrier. Because he had comprehended the nomological laws of the underworld and a more powerful underworld divine character, he could form several layers of the Yellow Springs Barrier at will. Its defensive ability was naturally much stronger than before. In the next moment, the power of the yellow sand break acted on the layers of the Yellow Springs Barrier. If an ordinary initial mortal realm martial cultivator faced Qi Ziguang's yellow sand break, they definitely wouldn't be able to block it head-on. If Long Yu did it head-on, he would definitely be seriously injured even if he didn't die. This guy is dead for sure. Qi Ziguang's eyes flickered fiercely. He could almost see his yellow sand break, shattering Long Yu's defensive barriers and Long Yu being smashed to pieces by the power of his yellow sand break. However, there's always a huge gap between reality and imagination. The nomological laws of the underworld are the strongest nomological laws in this world. Furthermore, Qi Ziguang's yellow sky, sand whirling law hasn't been completely comprehended and has only reached the level of the grand influence of the world. Long Yu's eyes lit up. Immediately after, the power of the explosion of the yellow sand broke through several layers of the netherworld barrier before it was blocked by the last layer of the netherworld barrier. A cloud of yellow sand rose up in front of Long Yu, while his entire body was within the yellow sand, not moving a single inch. Beneath the mask, a ridiculing glint surfaced within his eyes. Qi Ziguang, the so-called young master of the Yellow Sand Sky City. Is this all you've got? Long Yu mocked. It seems that not long ago, you were extremely sarcastic towards me and thought that I was useless. So what do you think now? Qi Ziguang was dumbfounded when he saw his attack being blocked by Long Yu. This kid was really a bit heaven-defying. Don't you know what to say? Then it's my turn to attack. A cold glint flashed in Long Yu's eyes as he raised his fist and directly punched towards Qi Ziguang. The underworld Qi instantly burst out and formed a pitch-black airflow following Long Yu's fist, like a little tail following behind Long Yu. Hit! Long Yu's fist condensed with the underworld Qi and smashed towards Qi Ziguang's face. Qi Ziguang instantly reacted. Yellow sand, defend. The power of the law of the yellow sky, fly away. Sand changed rapidly in Qi Ziguang's hand and quickly condensed into several layers of yellow sand shields in an attempt to block Long Yu's attack. However, the underworld Qi was like a wolf pouncing on a flock of sheep. In an instant, the yellow sand shields were blasted away, and a pitch-black airflow spread in all directions, making people feel extremely eerie. Dodge! Qi Ziguang's expression changed drastically. He originally wanted to block Long Yu's attack, but now he found that even in terms of strength, he was not a match for Long Yu. How could he not be surprised? Of course, he didn't have the time to be shocked, and he immediately flew backwards at his fastest speed with the intention of dodging Long Yu's fist that was like a hot knife through butter. A loud bang was heard as Long Yu's punch hit the ground, and the underworld Qi exploded. You run quite fast. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly as he watched Qi Ziguang retreat into the distance in a cold sweat. He did not chase after him. It was enough for him to do what he had done. If he really killed Qi Ziguang, not only him, but even Yi Luan would be in a lot of trouble. Wonderful. At this time, Yi Luan also knew that it was about time for him to stand up and smooth things over. Of course, he also had to deal a blow to Qi Ziguang. What happened today would definitely ruin Qi Ziguang's reputation. Originally, Yi Luan and Qi Ziguang did not have a good relationship. Yi Luan was too lazy to pay attention to Qi Ziguang, but Qi Ziguang always tried to deal with Yi Luan. Today, when Yi Luan brought Long Yu to Yellow Sand Sky City, Qi Ziguang seized the opportunity to humiliate Yi Luan and damage his reputation in Yellow Sand Sky City. Unfortunately, Qi Ziguang did not know that Long Yu was so powerful. Not only did he fight against 10 people, but he also defeated Qi Ziguang's followers who were in the initial human stage and even repelled Qi Ziguang, who was in a human glory stage. This made Yi Luan very happy. Wonderful, wonderful. Brother Mountain Ghost strength is really good to be able to repel an expert who is one level higher than you. Amazing, amazing. Yi Luan walked into the battlefield and stopped the two from continuing the fight. These words were enough to prove that Yi Luan was the final winner, and the name Mountain Ghost was enough to spread across Yellow Sand Sky City. With the cultivation of the initial human stage and the identity of Yi Luan's follower, he had defeated Qi Ziguang, one of the 9 young masters of Yellow Sand Sky City. Wasn't this enough to make him famous across Yellow Sand Sky City? Let's go. Qi Guang knew that he had lost face after being defeated by the masked man, so he did not dare to stay any longer. He glared at Long Yu and Yi Luan and left in a sorry state. Of course, they did not forget to take away the injured martial cultivator and the dead martial cultivator. They were proof of their humiliation today, so how could they leave them behind to embarrass themselves? Seeing Qi Guang and the others fleeing in a sorry state, Long Yu chuckled and returned to Yi Luan's side. "Brother Yi, how did I do?" Long Yu asked softly. "Not bad. Although Qi Guang doesn't have much strength, he has always been annoying." Yi Luan narrowed his eyes and nodded. "Nominally, Master's 9 disciples are not allowed to fight each other, so I couldn't do anything to him. However, your actions today have taught him a lesson and helped me vent my anger. But Mountain Ghost, you should know that there's someone standing behind Qi Guang." Yi Luan immediately reminded. Qi Guang doesn't have any interest in the position of the city lord, because there's no way he can become the next city lord with his talent. However, the person standing behind him is my second senior brother, Zhu Tao. "What's Zhu Tao's cultivation like now?" asked Long Yu with a raised eyebrow. "Heavenly origin stage." Yi Luan shook his head and said, "None of us are his match in a head-on fight. However, Zhu Tao's talent in comprehending the law of yellow sky, flying sand isn't that great. He's almost 40 years old, but he can only comprehend the charm of the yellow sky flying sand. This is his biggest weakness, which is why it'll be very difficult for him to become the next city lord. What I want to know is, will Zhu Tao show up in the grand competition of Sand City?" Long Yu squinted his eyes. Besides, he's not even 40 years old yet. In other words, he'll be participating in the grand selection, right? Chapter 402. Seeing Long Yu's expression change, Yi Luan waved his hand and said casually, "But you don't have to worry. Although Zhu Tao, a Heaven Realm expert, will participate in the Sand City competition, they will be divided into 3 groups." 3 groups? Long Yu was somewhat puzzled. "Yes. First, to participate in the Sand City competition, you must at least reach the Celestial Realm. Then, initial, human glory, and human tribulation martial cultivators will participate in different competitions." Yi Luan said, "The final winners of these 3 groups will get a heaven-grade elixir. As for those above the Heaven Realm, there are other groups that have nothing to do with us." "I see." Long Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself that this was better. Otherwise, if he fought against a Heaven Realm expert, even with his strength, he wouldn't have the slightest chance of winning, unless he used all of his skills. However, if he used all his skills in Yellow Sand Sky City, it would undoubtedly be suicidal. "But I'm a little curious, what rewards will the final winners of the Sand City competition get?" Long Yu asked. "Earth grade fighters." Yi Luan said, "Fighters are different from elixirs. Our Yellow Sand Sky City's own alchemists can refine Earth grade elixirs, but not fighters. Weapons of the same level are much more difficult to concoct than pills. So far, we've only been able to concoct profound grade weapons. The Heaven Realm warriors participating in the Sand City competition will be divided into groups, and the winner will be able to get the Earth grade weapon brought back by the first city master." So is an Earth grade fighter. Long Yu thought. Right now, he had a small fragment of the God-restricting lock in his hands. That thing was a Heaven-ranked warrior. Since Yu Qingsha was willing to use a part of the Heaven-grade fighter to imprison Wang Changfeng, it meant that in the outside world, a Heaven-grade fighter was nothing. In that case, it was normal for the first city lord of Yellow Sand City to bring back so many Earth-grade fighters. Perhaps in the outside world, Earth-level soldiers were as common as the Earth-level soldiers on the Heavenly Mandate continent, which was not necessarily the case. Long Yu did not think much about it. After all, it was impossible for him to join the fight between Heaven Realm elites. "By the way, Brother Yi, if I participate in the Sand City competition, can I participate in the 2 group competitions? Initial stage and Human Glory stage?" Long Yu asked. "No, you can only sign up for 1 group. According to the rules, everyone can only sign up for a group that is not weaker than their own strength. Of course, in the past, very few people would register in groups that were stronger than them." Yi Luan shook his head. "Mountain Ghost, if you're confident in yourself, you can sign up for the Human Glory Stages tournament. After all, the final prize for the Human Glory stage is a Heaven Rank mid-grade pill, which is slightly better than the Heaven Rank low-grade pill for the Human Origin stage. Within the Yellow Sand Heaven City, Yi Luan could only call Long Yu by his code name in front of so many citizens. However, this did not affect the communication between the two. If that's the case, I'll have to trouble Brother Yi to sign me up for the Renhua Realm competition. Long Yu said. Really? Yi Luan smiled. There are Renhua stage elites in our Yellow Sand Heaven City who are much stronger than Qi Ziguang. Just because you can defeat him doesn't mean you can get first place in this group. To be safe, the Human Origin stage group is better. At least you can easily get first place and be rewarded with a Heaven Rank low-grade pill. No need. Just sign me up for the Human Glory stage group. I'm confident. Long Yu nodded at Yi Luan. Yi Luan could only agree. All right, then I'll sign you up for the Renhua Realm group competition. The competition will be held in half a month. Prepare well in this half a month. Just treat it as a warm-up before the selection. Thank you, Brother Yi. Long Yu nodded and thanked him. You're welcome. Come with me. Yi Luan waved his hand and led Long Yu to the pillar of light in the center of the city. Then, he flew into the air and went straight to the top of the Heavenly Stars stage, which was closest to the 26th stage. Yellow Sand Heaven City was divided into two areas. To avoid trouble, Long Yu decided to cultivate in the lower area. Yi Luan brought him to the top of the lower area, which was the 54th stage of Yellow Sand Heaven City. This was the most luxurious area in the entire lower area. Only elites who were about to break through to the Human Glory stage were qualified to live here. With Yi Luan's help, it was easy to prepare a place for Long Yu to live here. While Long Yu and Yi Luan were preparing a place to live, cultivating, and preparing for the competition, Qi Ziguang, who had been humiliated by Long Yu, stumbled to the upper area of Yellow Sand Heaven City. On the 80th stage, he found his backer, second senior brother Zhu Tao. Zhu Tao was the second disciple of the third Yellow Sand Heaven City Lord, so he was called second senior brother. In terms of seniority, he had more authority than Yi Luan. Even Qi Ziguang, the seventh disciple of the third Yellow Sand City Lord, was willing to listen to Zhu Tao and become his pawn. What did you say? Yi Luan brought back a masked guy who's only at the human initial stage, but he managed to defeat you? Zhu Tao stood up when he heard Qi Ziguang's words. He was a plump man with a pair of small eyes that made him look a little wretched. However, he was extremely powerful and had already reached the heavenly initial stage. A cunning glint flashed in Zhu Tao's small eyes. What's his name? I heard Yi Luan call him Mountain Ghost. It doesn't sound like his real name. Qi Ziguang thought for a while and said, Mountain Ghost. Zhu Tao squinted and tapped on the expensive mahogany table with one finger. That's definitely not his real name. It's just a code. Yi Luan brought an unknown guy to our Yellow Sand City. What if he's plotting against us? What should we do? Second senior brother, you mean? Qi Ziguang's eyes lit up. He seemed to have found a breakthrough. Report this to Master and let him make a decision. Zhu Tao said, This guy is only at the human initial stage, but he was able to defeat you. He's definitely not an ordinary person. If he's plotting against our Yellow Sand City, we must strike first. Second senior brother is wise. Qi Ziguang was instantly impressed. Second senior brother was really thoughtful in this matter. That guy's identity was unknown, but Yi Luan brought him to Yellow Sand City. Would Yi Luan be able to bear the consequences if something happened to him? If Master knew about this, even if he couldn't defeat Yi Luan in one fell swoop, he would definitely give Yi Luan a heavy blow. Then why aren't you going to report to Master? Zhu Tao glanced at Qi Ziguang and said, I'll go now, second senior brother. Qi Ziguang chuckled and left Zhu Tao's mansion. He passed through the central light pillar and flew toward the 98th floor. There were a total of 108 floors in Yellow Sand City. The top 8 floors were forbidden areas. Apart from the city lord and the 2 supreme elders, no one was allowed to go there unless they were ordered by the city lord or the supreme elder. The 99th and 100th floors were the residences of the 2 supreme elders, and no one was allowed to disturb them on normal days. Following the Supreme Elder was the residence of the City Lord on the 98th floor. The third-generation City Lord, who was also the master of Qi Ziguang and the others, usually cultivated and handled affairs on the 98th floor. From a 98th floor down, there were the residences of the experts of Yellow Sand City. The stronger one was, the more prominent one's identity was, and the higher the floor they lived on. However, from a 98th floor down, no one would occupy a floor alone. This was a sign of respect for the identity of the City Lord, and also a symbol of the City Lord's authority. Qi Ziguang ran to the 98th floor excitedly, but he didn't expect that Yi Luan was already there and had already met the third-generation City Lord. Master, this is what happened. Long Yu, codenamed Mountain Ghost, came to our Yellow Sand City and can represent our Sand City in the selection. Yi Luan stood outside the main hall of the City Lord's mansion and said loudly, "If there are people who can be chosen by the people from the outside world this time, Long Yu is definitely one of them." An old voice came from the main hall. "This lad is quite unique to be able to survive being trapped in the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. You made a good choice." Geniuses like Bai Chunyan appear many times in the continent. Whether they can achieve anything depends on their temperament. With Bai Chunyan's temperament, it's hard for him to achieve anything great. Old Gio, you did a good job. Thank you for your praise, Master, Yi Luan said respectfully. Yi Luan said respectfully. In addition, Long Yu wants to sign up for the Sand City competition of the Human Glory Territory. Can Master approve of this? That guy wants to participate in the Splendid Realms competition when he's only at the early realm? The old voice sounded curious. That's not a bad idea. I saw what happened on the 10th floor just now. Although Long Yu defeated Old 7, I'm afraid it won't be easy for him to win the first place of the Splendid Realm group. I told Long Yu the same thing, but he still insisted on doing so. Yi Luan felt a little helpless. Then let him be. There was a hint of a smile in the old voice. Master has quite a high opinion of this kid. Also, tell him that if he can obtain the first place of the Human Glory Stage group in the competition with a cultivation of early human stage, I'll give him an Earth-grade combat weapon so that he can perform better in the Great Selection. Thank you, Master. Joy appeared on Yi Luan's face. His master's words clearly showed that he recognized Long Yu's strength, as well as Yi Luan's foresight. Moreover, he was going to give him enough support. Once Long Yu was really selected in the Great Selection, the benefits it would bring to Yellow Sand Sky City were simply too many. Yi Luan quickly turned around and left. Qi Ziguang arrived at the residence of the City Lord on the 98th floor after Yi Luan left. Master, Qi Ziguang stood at the entrance of the hall, like Yi Luan, and greeted him respectfully. Old 7, I'm aware of what happened just now. An old voice came from within the hall. Master, you're aware? Qi Ziguang was pleasantly surprised. The masked man called Shan Gui that junior brother Yi brought is very problematic. If he's plotting something against our Sand City, I know what to do. Old 7, you've been slacking off in your cultivation. Shouldn't you hurry back and seize the time? There was a hint of anger in the old voice. As my disciple, you'd better put your martial arts realm first. Qi Ziguang was dumbfounded. Chapter 403. Of course, Long Yu didn't know that Qi Ziguang had gone to the Third City Lord and ended up being rejected. Yi Luan prepared a quiet courtyard for him so that he could practice by himself. There was still half a month before the Sand City Major competition. Long Yu felt that there seemed to be some breakthrough in his understanding of Samsara Awakening. Maybe he could really break through to the realm of perfection during this period of time. When Samsara Awakening was comprehended to the realm of perfection, he could punch out and simulate the scene of Long Yu's future so that he could see his future understanding of martial arts. At this moment, Long Yu stood in the backyard, carefully observing the future scene in front of him and his every move. He saw that the person in the picture was wearing the same ghost mask as him, waving his hand to condense the infinite power of reincarnation, shrouding himself, forming a reincarnation barrier. Samsara Awakening in the realm of perfection can actually condense a defensive barrier. Long Yu was quite satisfied with this. Although the defense of the underworld barrier was already very strong, it was still not enough for Long Yu. After all, Drunk Underworld was only an excellent mortal-level martial arts technique. Samsara Awakening was an excellent spirit-level martial arts technique. When comprehended to a high level, coupled with the powerful Nine Serenities law, the effect was definitely not inferior to ordinary Earth-level martial arts techniques. Long Yu couldn't use the heavenly mandate Divine Light when he was in the Yellow Sand Sky City. But now he used the reincarnation barrier of Awakening Samsara, and its defensive ability was almost the same as the heavenly mandate Divine Light. The reason why the heavenly mandate Divine Light was so powerful was that it could be driven by the law of heaven and earth, and even the power of the divine text. This was something that no other martial arts techniques could do. Samsara Awakening could only be driven by the law of Nine Serenities or the power of the divine text. A mere excellent spirit-level martial arts technique could be compared with the power of an earth-level martial arts technique, which showed how terrifying it was. Samsara Barrier, I don't know what use it has. Why don't I ask Yiluan to come over and fight? Long Yu thought to himself, and then shook his head. Yiluan should also be busy comprehending the power of laws of the yellow sky, flying sand right now. If he came to spar with him, it would be too much of a waste of other people's time. Although I can't find Yiluan, there are many experts in this Yellow Sand Heaven City. Wouldn't it be easy to find someone to spar with? As Long Yu thought to himself, he felt relieved. No matter what, he had to first comprehend the realm of the reincarnation barrier and consolidate it. Although he could almost use it now, he still wasn't proficient enough. 3 days later, Long Yu walked out of the courtyard. After familiarizing himself with the reincarnation barrier realm, he came out for a walk. He wanted to see if there were any ignorant fellows who wanted to give a try. Walking on the streets of the 54th floor of the Yellow Sand Heaven City, many people seemed to know that Long Yu was an expert brought back by Yiluan. Moreover, he was able to fight against Qi Ziguang, who was in the worldly glory realm, even though he was only in the worldly origin realm. This news had already spread throughout the entire Yellow Sand Sky City. Therefore, when Long Yu walked on the road with his mask on, many people smiled at him to show their friendliness. Surprisingly, no one came to make trouble for him. This caused Long Yu to feel rather depressed. Could it be that he had to find a random person to spar with? Just as he was thinking about this, a figure that Long Yu was familiar with suddenly appeared in front of him. The little prince of Gumeng, Meng Duo Kai. Long Yu's eyes lit up. Not far from the street in front of him, there was a strong young man in golden armor. He wore a purple gold crown and 2 pheasant feathers. Who else could it be but the little prince of Gumeng, Meng Duo Kai? Unexpectedly, 2 years after the heavenly mandate's sacred selection, Meng Duo Kai had also stepped into the celestial secret realm, the human initial stage, and joined Yellow Sand City. At this time, Meng Duo Kai was coming out of a shop. It seemed that he had bought some elixirs and was going to take them back. While Long Yu was preparing for the Sand City competition, Meng Duo Kai was naturally preparing as well. Hey! Long Yu ran forward and called out to Meng Duo Kai. He then said, "How about you spar with me?" Long Yu wore a mask and deliberately changed his voice. Of course, Meng Duo Kai could not recognize that he was Long Yu. However, as soon as he saw Long Yu's appearance, his expression changed. "You are an expert brought back by young Master Yi. I'm just a nobody. I'm definitely no match for you. Let's not spar." How can a martial artist shrink back in the face of a challenge? Long Yu said indifferently. "How about this? You hit me directly. I will not fight back. Let's see if you can break through my defense." His words attracted the attention of many people around. This masked mountain ghost actually let someone hit him directly and did not fight back? You want to test the strength of the defensive martial arts technique, right? Someone asked immediately. That's right. Long Yu nodded and looked at Meng Duo Kai. If that's the case, do you dare to come? The little prince of ancient Meng Kingdom had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. It was just that he had heard that this mountain ghost was very powerful and that the Sand City competition was approaching, so he did not want to spar with him. But now, this mountain ghost had said that he would stand there and let him hit him. If he did not accept, wouldn't he be too weak? Why wouldn't I dare? Meng Duo Kai nodded and said in a rough voice. He then stood in front of Long Yu and carefully looked at him. The surrounding people also watched from afar. They wanted to see how strong this mountain ghost, who was rumored to have repelled Qi Ziguang, was. After Meng Duo Kai was ready, he directly raised his fist and punched toward Long Yu. A bright golden light condensed on his fist and came toward Long Yu's face. Vajra penetrating. Long Yu had seen this move during the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. But now, the power of Meng Duo Kai's move was obviously much more tyrannical than before. After all, at this moment, Meng Duo Kai had stepped into the celestial realm. Although his cultivation was only at the human initial realm, it was still several times stronger than the 9 realms of the real spirit. Underworld barrier. Long Yu frowned. This Meng Duo Kai's cultivation was only at the human initial realm. Although he had comprehended the divine monument law, the power contained in this punch was not enough for him to use the reincarnation barrier. The defense of the reincarnation barrier was several levels higher than the underworld barrier. Now, even the underworld barrier could withstand the attack. Why would Long Yu use the reincarnation barrier? The Vajra penetrating condensed golden light and hit Long Yu's pitch-black underworld barrier. Immediately, a circle of ripples spread out on the underworld barrier, but it was not able to break it. Powerful, powerful! Meng Duo Kai laughed out loud and was about to compliment Long Yu. But at this moment, in the crowd, someone suddenly jumped up and slashed at Long Yu. Someone launched a sneak attack. The spectators immediately reacted. They turned to look at the attacker, only to see that it was a muscular man with eyes as large as copper bells. He was bare-chested and held a large saber in his hand. He leaped out and condensed the laws of the heavenly steel, slashing towards Long Yu. This big-eyed, bare-bodied man turned out to be a Runhua realm cultivator. Suddenly, the crowd booed. Someone recognized that the brawny man was a subordinate of young Master Zhu Tao. It was obvious that Qi Ziguang was so angry that he asked Zhu Tao to help him. Among all the beauty realm cultivators in Yellow Sand Sky City, this brawny man with big eyes was among the top 3 in terms of strength. Now that he was hiding at the side and suddenly launched a sneak attack, the masked man known as Mountain Ghost would definitely not be able to withstand it, right? From the moment Meng Duo Kai formed the Vajra penetrating to the moment the brawny man with big eyes launched a sneak attack, only a split second had passed. The others did not expect such a situation to happen, but Long Yu was already prepared. As soon as he called out to Meng Duo Kai, he sensed a murderous aura nearby that was aimed at him. At this moment, the brawny man with big eyes launched a sneak attack. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curved slightly. He raised his hand and condensed the reincarnation power in his fist, forming a reincarnation barrier around his body. The brawny man with big eyes charged forward violently. His saber radiance filled the sky and instantly slashed at the reincarnation barrier. Just when everyone thought that Long Yu was about to be killed, the reincarnation barrier suddenly lit up and sucked in all the saber radiance that was attacking Long Yu. Just as the brawny man with big eyes was shocked, all the saber radiance that he had unleashed was absorbed by the reincarnation barrier. It can actually absorb power. Long Yu was a little shocked. He could clearly feel that the reincarnation barrier had absorbed and stored all the power of the opponent's saber radiance. As long as he willed it, he could completely reflect the power back. It's a little similar to the water canopy, but it's much stronger, as expected of a top-grade spirit-level martial arts technique. Although Long Yu was delighted, he did not show it. He only looked at the brawny man with big eyes indifferently. Then, with a thought, the reincarnation barrier shattered with a loud bang. A wave of saber radiance that filled the sky flew out and attacked the brawny man with big eyes. The brawny man with big eyes was adjusting his breathing after executing a saber technique. He did not expect that the person in front of him, who was called Mountain Ghost, would be able to return his saber radiance intact. In an instant, he was flustered. His entire body flew into the air and leaped backward. Even so, a few saber radiances still cut a few wounds on his face. Blood flowed from his face and dyed his entire vision red. You're courting death. The brawny man with big eyes was infuriated by this move. He immediately waved the saber in his hand. Obviously, he was furious and wanted to take Long Yu's life. Stop! At this moment, a voice came from afar. In just an instant, a young man in a blue robe appeared in the sky above everyone. Yi Luan. Everyone was shocked. Young Master Yi Luan had actually come in person. Since when did our Yellow Sand Sky City become a place where people gather to fight? If you want to fight, the Sand City Grand Competition in 10 days will be more than enough for you to fight. He then descended and faced the big-eyed, bare-bodied man. Go back and tell Zhu Tao that Brother Mountain Ghost has signed up to participate in the competition for the groups in the Human Glory Realm. If he's capable enough, he should fight openly in the competition. Don't do anything sneaky. If anything happens to Brother Mountain Ghost during this period of time, I won't let Zhu Tao off easily. Yi Luan said coldly as he looked down. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. This mountain ghost was only at the initial human realm. How could he sign up for the magnificent Realm Grand Competition? Although he had just blocked the Brawny Man's sneak attack, if the Brawny Man got serious, he might still be able to defeat Mountain Ghost, right? Chapter 404. After Yi Luan came over, the big-eyed man snorted and left. He knew that since his attack didn't work and Yi Luan came over, he wouldn't have another chance to attack Mountain Ghost. After all, Yi Luan was a human tribulation cultivator. This guy is called Chu Chinka, and he works for Zhu Tao. Yi Luan watched as the big-eyed, burly man turned around and left. He landed beside Long Yu and introduced him to him. Yes, Long Yu nodded. He recalled the sky full of saber lights that Chu Chinka had brandished at him and felt the strength of the reincarnation barrier that he had formed. He felt more confident in his own strength. Now, Long Yu was sure that no one in the human initial stage who was at the same level as him would be his match. Even if it was a Runhua realm expert, in front of Long Yu, they would only be able to take a beating. Just like that big-eyed burly man, Chu Chinka. If they were to really fight, Long Yu would be able to defeat him in a few moves. This guy is ranked 3rd among the human glory realm cultivators in Yellow Sand City. You need to be careful in the Sand City competition. Yi Luan lowered his voice and reminded Long Yu. What's Qi Ziguang's ranking? Long Yu asked. That kid never strives to make progress. There's no way he can make it to the top 10. Yi Luan's eyes were filled with disdain. Indeed, there was no need for Yi Luan to show any respect to someone who was talented but didn't work hard. He always looked down on Qi Ziguang. That's easy. I should be able to get the first place in the Human Glory Realm group. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and said, Don't be careless. Let's go back. I'll tell you about the first and second place in the Human Glory Realm. Yi Luan rose into the air and flew toward the courtyard where Long Yu lived. Naturally, Long Yu followed him, leaving behind a large group of onlookers in Yellow Sand Sky City. He began to spread the news that Mountain Ghost was going to participate in the Sand City Grand Competition for the human elite. This was big news. To the people of Yellow Sand Heaven City, many of them were outsiders. They were either martial cultivators who came from outside the city, or they were the descendants that they raised after settling down in Yellow Sand Heaven City. Therefore, although the Mountain Ghost was brought back by Yi Luan from the outside, they did not have any intention of excluding him. To be honest, everyone in Yellow Sand Heaven City was an outsider, and even Yi Luan was brought back by the city lord when he was young. No matter what, in the eyes of many Yellow Sand Sky City martial cultivators, Yi Luan was already a candidate for the next city lord, and the Mountain Ghost he brought back was naturally the assistant of the next city lord. That was why they were all excited when they heard that Hill Ghost, a human initial stage cultivator, was going to participate in the Human Glory Stage Group competition. If Hill Ghost could really become the champion of the group for the Human Glory stage with his cultivation at the Human Initial stage, wouldn't that mean that he was extremely talented? This was a good thing for the entire Yellow Sand Sky City. Of course, most people were not optimistic about Mountain Ghost's chances of participating in the Renhua stage group competition. This was because there were many geniuses in Yellow Sand City, especially the twin brothers who were in the Renhua realm. Gu Jun, 22 years old this year, is in the human glory stage and is extremely talented in martial arts. He has a deep understanding of Yellow Sand City's martial arts techniques and is extremely powerful. He can even hold off opponents who have just entered the human tribulation stage for a long time. In the courtyard where Long Yu was, Yi Luan was introducing the powerful figures in the human glory stage group to him. This young man, named Gu Jun, was the strongest of the human glory stage cultivators in Yellow Sand City. The second one is Gu Jun's older brother, Gu Yan. Gu Yan's martial arts talent is not as good as Gu Jun's, but he is extremely hard-working in his cultivation. The law of heaven and earth that he comprehended is also the law of the heavenly steel, so his defense is extremely strong. At this point, Yi Luan shook his head and said, "Even the current me has a headache when facing this Gu Yan because this guy is too turtle." The so-called turtle was, of course, referring to Gu Yan's amazing defense. Even Yi Luan, who had entered the human tribulation stage, would find it difficult to break through his defense. Last year, before I broke through to the human tribulation stage, I participated in the human glory stage group competition and lost to Gu Yan. You have to be careful, Yi Luan reminded Long Yu, who was the first in the human glory stage group competition last year. Long Yu was interested in this. It was Gu Jun, not Gu Yan. Yi Luan said, "I lost to Gu Yan." In the end, Gu Yan and Gu Jun fought. Unfortunately, the two of them were blood brothers, so they didn't fight. As the elder brother, Gu Yan gave the first place to his younger brother, Gu Jun. Seems like they have a good relationship, Long Yu said with a smile. Of course, the two of them are famous in Yellow Sand City for wearing the same pair of pants. Yi Luan teased, "But they aren't bad guys, and I have a good relationship with them." Although he didn't say it explicitly, Long Yu understood what he meant. Gu Jun and Gu Yan had a good relationship with Yi Luan. If Long Yu met them in the Sand City competition, he wouldn't have to risk his life. If Gu Jun and Gu Yan were stronger than Long Yu, they would go easy on them because Long Yu was on Yi Luan's side. If Gu Jun and Gu Yan weren't a match for Long Yu, Yi Luan hoped that Long Yu wouldn't kill them either. "I understand," Long Yu nodded. After Yi Luan left, Long Yu continued to consolidate his understanding of the Samsara awakening palm. In the next 10 days, he completely familiarized himself with the method of using the Samsara barrier. Forming the Samsara barrier was twice as fast as before, and he could even form 3 layers at once. This instantly increased his defensive ability by 3 times. If I could comprehend the Dark Dragon 9 explosions to perfection, there wouldn't be any side effects. In that case, no one in the entire Heavenly Mandate continent will be able to withstand the power of this grand desolate level martial technique. Unfortunately, Long Yu thought to himself and then shook his head. It was very difficult to comprehend ordinary spirit level and profound level martial techniques to perfection, not to mention grand desolate level martial techniques, which were stronger than heaven level martial techniques. Naturally, it was more difficult to comprehend than heaven-level martial techniques. Now that Long Yu had comprehended the Dark Dragon 9 explosions to the profound realm, he could perform the 3rd explosion. His progress was quite fast. The main reason was that the side effects of this martial technique were too great, and Long Yu couldn't perform it often. Even practicing on a daily basis was quite dangerous, so his progress was even slower. Of course, now that Yellow Sand City was participating in the competition, there was no need for Long Yu to perform this move. Just the drunken underworld and Samsara awakening palm were enough for Long Yu. 10 days later, the Sand City Grand Competition was about to begin. During this time, Long Yu was finally not disturbed by anyone else. On the day of the Sand City Grand Competition, Yi Luan came to find Long Yu and took him to the 33rd floor of Yellow Sand City. On the 33rd floor of Yellow Sand City, there was an extremely vast arena. It was the place where Yellow Sand City held the Sand City Grand Competition and other activities every year. On this day, Long Yu wasn't the only one following Yi Luan. There were 2 other Renhua realm martial artists in brown robes, Gu Jun and Gu Yan. Only then did Long Yu know that these 2 guys were Yi Luan supporters. No wonder Yi Luan said that he had a good relationship with these 2. Now it seemed that Yi Luan had a good relationship with these two people. From Gu Jun and Gu Yan, Long Yu felt waves of faint hostility. This kind of hostility was not killing intent, but they were not very happy with Long Yu. After all, Yilin highly praised this mountain ghost, which made the two very unhappy. Gu Jun and Gu Yan were originally Yi Luan's capable subordinates. Although Yi Luan treated them as friends, the two of them knew that once Yi Luan became the fourth-generation city lord of Yellow Sand Sky City, their identities would definitely be different from Yilin's. It was because Yi Luan regarded them as friends that they would follow Yi Luan, support him to become the next city lord. On the 33rd floor of Yellow Sand City, there was already a sea of people, and it was noisy. When Long Yu followed Yilin, he was immediately attracted by a black-haired old man sitting on the front of the rostrum. From this black-haired old man, he felt a very terrifying aura and pressure. This aura and pressure was even stronger than that of Beiqiani that Long Yu had seen before. The Lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, Beiqiani, is only in the Heavenly Hua Realm. It seems that this black-haired old man is not the third city lord of Yellow Sand City, but the two highest elders are in the Tribulation Realm. Long Yu thought to himself, the third city lord of Yellow Sand City, Sha Yuan Tian. Greetings, master. Yi Luan led Long Yu all the way to the black-haired old man, then respectfully greeted him. Not bad. The black-haired old man's face was filled with wrinkles. Upon seeing Yi Luan, a smile surfaced between his brows. He glanced at Yi Luan, as well as Long Yu, Gu Jun, and Gu Yan, who were standing behind Yi Luan, with a satisfied look on his face. Then, Yi Luan led the three to sit not far away. In the annual Sand City competition, the 9 disciples of the city lord, Sha Yuan Tian, would sit not far away from him according to the order, and they would also bring their confidants. Long Yu glanced around and immediately saw the luxuriously dressed young man, Qi Ziguang, sitting not far away from him with 2 Renoir realm and 1 martial cultivator in the human origin realm. Qi Ziguang. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Although he was wearing a mask, a hint of disdain could be seen in his eyes when he looked at Qi Ziguang. This disdain immediately made Qi Ziguang furious, but he gritted his teeth and endured it. Now was not the time to explode. Once the Sand City Grand Competition began, he would definitely make this mountain ghost suffer. Qi Ziguang's subordinates and his second senior brother Zhu Tao's subordinates, as long as they were in the Renoir realm, would definitely beat the mountain ghost to death when they saw him in the Sand City Grand Competition. Chapter 405. Long Yu would not look down on others for no reason, but Qi Ziguang was worthy of his disdain. The disdain in his eyes was also a natural display of sincerity, which made Qi Ziguang hate him even more. However, Long Yu naturally did not care about this. If he was afraid, he would not have chosen to mock Qi Ziguang and challenge his subordinate in public, which made him lose face. Anyway, they were all enemies, so what if he was disdainful? The atmosphere in the entire martial arts arena was very lively, but not everyone had arrived, so the city lord Sha Yuan Tian did not stand up and start speaking. According to the rules, the city lord should speak before the start of the annual Sand City Grand Competition, and then show the prizes. As more and more people poured into the martial arts arena, it became more and more lively, and the seats around Sha Yuan Tian were gradually filled with people. Yi Luan introduced his 8 senior apprentice brothers to Long Yu in a soft voice. Long Yu roughly sized them up and memorized them in his heart. Who knows, they might come in handy in the future. What surprised Long Yu was that among Yi Luan and his 8 senior brothers, Qi Ziguang, as the 7th brother, had the lowest martial arts realm. The second senior brother, Zhu Tao, was a little unworthy of his seniority, as he was only at the Heaven Beginning realm. Among the 9 senior brothers, the 4th brother was already at the Heaven Flower realm, while the 2nd and 3rd brothers were only at the Heaven Beginning realm. As for the eldest senior brother, of course, he was also a powerhouse at the Heaven Flower realm. One step further, he would be able to break through the bottleneck and become a powerhouse at the Heavenly Tribulation realm like Sha Yuan Tian. Apart from Qi Ziguang, Long Yu would not meet any of them. However, Long Yu knew that there would definitely be many people secretly targeting him in the Sand City Grand Competition, such as Zhu Tao subordinates, and maybe one or two junior brothers who were close to Zhu Tao would help in a deal with Long Yu. Show me what you've got. Anyway, I'm going to be the chief disciple of the Renoir realm. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and thought. Then, perhaps feeling that everyone had arrived, City Lord Sha Yuanten, the old man with shiny black hair who sat in the center, finally stood up and raised his hand. This action silenced the clamor of the crowd. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Sha Yuantian. This year is the 108th anniversary of the construction of my Yellow Sand Heaven City. At the same time, it also coincides with the great selection that is held once every 20 years. The Sand City Grand Competition this time will be a warm-up for everyone participating in the Grand Selection. Sha Yuantian looked around, a smile appearing on his face. In order for everyone to obtain a good result in the Great Selection, according to the usual practice, this year's Sand City competition will have more generous rewards than usual. After saying this, he turned around, raised his hand, and waved away the black cloth on the shelf beside him. Two Heaven Realm Sand City guards were standing next to the shelf, guarding the prize that was about to be given to the winner of the Sand City competition, a huge pile of medicinal pills and combat weapons. The Sand City Grand Competition will be divided into groups of early mortal stage cultivators. The top 3 will receive a low heaven tier pill, and the first place will receive an additional low heaven tier pill. The same goes for Glory Realm and Human Tribulation Realm groups. Long Yu's eyes lit up when he heard this. This practice was really good. In order for everyone to obtain a good result in the Grand Selection, the reward for winning the Sand City Grand Competition was doubled. Of course, this was only for Long Yu, because he was determined to get the first place in the Glory Realm. 2 different mid-heaven tier pills might be enough for me to step into the Glory Realm. As long as I can break through the bottleneck, Long Yu thought to himself, looking forward to the Sand City Grand Competition even more. As for the groups in the Heaven Realm, in addition to the original rewards, the top 3 will receive 2 more heaven tier pills each. Sha Yuantian continued, causing an uproar among the crowd. Long Yu didn't mind. An earth tier combat weapon was useless to him. After all, a combat weapon needed to be used in conjunction with a martial technique to maximize its effect, and most of the martial techniques that Long Yu practiced were barehanded. As for the Dragon Spear of 9 Nether, he hadn't used it for a long time. He only kept it as a souvenir left by his father. Every year, the strength of our Yellow Sand Sky City is constantly improving. One day, we will become the strongest in the Tiangang realm. I hope that everyone will continue to work towards this goal. After saying this, Sha Yuantian finally sat down and waved his hand. Let's start with the matches of the human realm and announce the results of the draw. As he said this, a burst of colorful light suddenly appeared in the sky above the martial arts arena, forming a series of characters. It was the list of all the participants who had signed up for the Sand City Grand Competition. The first to appear was the list of the matches of the Human Initial Realm, the Glory Realm, and the Human Tribulation Realm. Long Yu raised his head and looked at the sky. With a cursory search, he found his name, Mountain Ghost. There are more than 50 cultivators in the Glory Realm signing up for the Grand Competition. This number really surprised Long Yu. It seemed that Yellow Sand Sky City still had a strong foundation. It should be known that martial arts cultivators in the Glory Realm could definitely become an overlord on the Heavenly Mandate continent, and there were more than 50 martial arts cultivators in Yellow Sand Sky City. This was the number of participants in the Sand City Grand Competition who were under 40 years old. In the entire Yellow Sand Sky City, there were definitely more than 100 martial arts cultivators in the Glory Realm, which was quite a terrifying number. I'm afraid there are only a dozen or 20 martial arts cultivators in the North Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Long Yu guessed based on what he saw when he participated in the sacred selection of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. The strength of the North Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was far inferior to that of Yellow Sand Sky City. Of course, the North Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was only a branch. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute had a total of 5 departments. Together, Their overall strength should not be inferior to Yellow Sand Sky City. Long Yu couldn't help but think that when he had just left the Dragonbone Tower, he had killed Yuan Haoning, a martial arts cultivator in the Renoir realm of the Nine Heaven Star Palace. It seemed that the Nine Heaven Star Palace had suffered a great loss. There were a total of 52 participants in the Renoir realm of the Sand City Grand Competition. According to the order of drawing lots, they would fight in pairs, and the final winner would get the position of first place. The rules were simple, but also cruel, because as long as one lost, they would be eliminated and would not have the chance to continue. Of course, this was not a problem for Long Yu. My first opponent is Chu Chinka. Long Yu thought of the bare-bodied man with big eyes who tried to kill him on the streets of the Sand City 10 days ago. He didn't expect his first opponent to be him. Was there something fishy about the order of drawing lots? Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental? But no matter what, it didn't affect Long Yu much. In the group of the Renoir realm, the first to fight was Gu Jun. His opponent was dejected as soon as he went up, obviously feeling that he was very unlucky to have drawn Gu Jun as his first opponent. Although he felt that it was impossible for him to get into the top 3, it was too embarrassing to be defeated in the first round. Of course, although he knew that he was no match for Gu Jun, he still insisted on going up and fought with Gu Jun. As the saying goes, if you lose, you should lose beautifully. This made Long Yu quite admire him. It seemed that except for a few people, the martial arts practitioners in Yellow Sand City were not bad. Gu Jun won easily. After returning, Long Yu flew to the field. As Long Yu appeared in the field with a ghost mask, 80% of the people in the entire martial arts field turned their eyes to him. And opposite of Long Yu, the bare-bodied man with big eyes, Chu Chinka, appeared with a big saber. Last time, young lord, you protected you, but this time, you won't be so lucky. I will beat you until you beg for mercy. Chu Chinka said with a grim smile. His whole person was like a butcher. Long Yu didn't say a word. As soon as he went up, he raised his hand, and the netherworld chi directly condensed in his hand. Awakening reincarnation, drunk lying in the yellow spring. Long Yu punched twice in succession, blasting towards Chu Chinka across the air. The netherworld chi immediately spread out. Chu Chinka didn't expect Long Yu to attack directly, but he didn't panic. The big saber in his hand directly slashed over horizontally. A resplendent saber light swept out, directly meeting Long Yu's 2 pitch-black fist lights. Netherworld burst. When Long Yu saw that Chu Chinka was focused on dealing with his fist lights, he directly blasted a punch towards the ground without thinking, condensing the netherworld burst under Chu Chinka's feet. Those 2 punches that Long Yu made the first move already made Chu Chinka use all his strength to resist. Now that he suddenly felt something was wrong under his feet, Chu Chinka immediately put away the big saber and flew straight towards the sky. However, in the next moment, a pillar of netherworld chi suddenly exploded, enveloping Chu Chinka, who was flying in the sky. Cultivators in the human glory realm were much more resistant to beatings than ordinary martial cultivators. After withstanding Long Yu's netherworld burst, Chu Chinka actually didn't die on the spot. Instead, he forcefully flew out of it, swayed a few times, and then fell to the ground with a thud. All of this happened in less than 3 breaths of time. Chu Chinka's words about beating Long Yu until he begged for mercy were still lingering in everyone's ears. However, at this moment, the bare-bodied man with big eyes had already fallen to the ground, twitching all over. Mountain Ghost wins. The martial cultivator in charge of the referee took a long time to react. At the same time, he quickly called for other martial cultivators to carry Chu Chinka out to prepare for treatment. Long Yu glanced at Chu Chinka. If he had a good healing pill, his injury wouldn't be fatal. So fast. 80% of the people in the martial arts arena had been paying attention to Long Yu's battle. When they saw that he had defeated Chu Chinka so quickly, they all looked as if they had seen a ghost. After all, Chu Chinka had won 3rd place in the Sand City Grand Competition last year. But now, he couldn't even deal with a man with a ghost mask in the early human stage, the so-called Mountain Ghost. Not only was he unable to deal with him, but he also retreated with serious injuries in less than 3 moves. This showed how terrifying the mountain ghost was. This scene successfully attracted the attention of Sha Yuantian and some of his personal disciples nearby. Chapter 406. For Long Yu, he didn't need to care about other people's opinions if he wanted to win first place in the Renhua playing group. Anyway, he would offend those he had to offend sooner or later. What was there to be afraid of? Chuchinka was indeed one of the strongest Renhua playing cultivators in Yellow Sand Sky City. In the following 2 battles, Long Yu didn't feel any pressure at all and directly crushed his opponents. After everyone in the Renhua playing group had fought 3 battles, there were only 8 people left. These 8 people would compete for first place in the Renhua playing group. If I want to win first place, I need to fight 3 more battles. Long Yu thought and checked the opponents he might encounter next. Gu Jun and Gu Yan were among them. As for the others, Long Yu didn't pay much attention to them. There were many people like Chu Chinka who wanted to kill him, but among the martial cultivators in the Renhua realm, no one could do it. Long Yu won the first battle and 1 consecutive battles, which was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Yiluan didn't expect Long Yu to win so easily. However, it wouldn't be so easy next. After all, the remaining 8 people in the Renhua playing group were all very strong. When the battle began, a woman in her late 20s appeared in front of Long Yu. Long Yu remembered that this woman was Yi Luan's 4th senior sister subordinate. Among Sha and Tian's 9 direct disciples, only the 4th was a woman, but she was extremely talented and had already entered the Renhua plane, which made her stronger than the 2nd and 3rd disciples. The woman standing in front of Long Yu had a charming appearance. She looked at Long Yu and faintly smiled. "Mountain Ghost, my young master has some friendship with young Master Yi. Let's not shed all pretense of cordiality and just admit defeat." "Why don't you admit defeat?" Long Yu raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "Do you think you can beat me?" The woman smiled charmingly and giggled. "How do you know if you don't try?" Long Yu wasn't careless. Just by sensing this woman's aura, he knew that she wasn't weak. In fact, she might even be a bit stronger than Chu Chinka. "All right then." The woman didn't say anything. She just raised her hand, and an even more charming aura came out of her body. This is a charm-type heavenly steel law. With one look, Long Yu understood the power that the woman possessed. He had already thought of a battle strategy. When the woman started dancing, beautiful phantoms appeared one after another. Long Yu didn't even look at those phantoms and directly released the Yellow Springs realm. The Yellow Springs realm, derived from drunken reclining in the Yellow Springs, which could weaken the opponent and strengthen oneself, was quite effective in this situation. "Demonic butterfly dance," the woman shouted. In the next moment, countless beautiful scenes appeared in Long Yu's mind. Immediately after, a fragrant and enchanting aura blew over and surrounded Long Yu. Dragon Sparrow Flash. Long Yu couldn't figure out what kind of attack it was, so he directly used the Dragon Sparrow Flash. This move could allow him to flash to another dimension and dodge all attacks. Using it in this situation made everything that the woman did useless. Moreover, after Long Yu used the Dragon Sparrow Flash, the illusionary fragrance in his mind and the tip of his nose all disappeared, and he regained consciousness. I didn't expect the Dragon Sparrow Flash to have such an effect. Long Yu was a little surprised. This could be considered an unexpected discovery. If he encountered similar situations in the future, he could use the Dragon Sparrow Flash to regain consciousness. Immediately after, the Heaven Suppression Sun and Moon True Spirit appeared behind Long Yu, intertwining and flashing, accompanied by the moon's lightsaber light. The woman just thought that Long Yu was troubled by her charm laws and martial skills, but she didn't expect to be greeted by a series of resplendent moon's lightsaber light. The woman hurriedly retreated and raised her hand to form a 5-colored barrier, trying to block Long Yu's moon's lightsaber light. However, the moon's lightsaber light formed by Long Yu's Law of Moon was much more powerful than she had imagined. With a bang, the 5-colored barrier she formed was shattered. Then, the moon's lightsaber light flew past her ear with an endless momentum, making her break out in a cold sweat. "I admit defeat." The woman came back to her senses and said angrily. She knew very well that if Long Yu hadn't shown mercy and let the moon's lace saber light fly past her ear, she would have been dead by now. Although as a human glory realm cultivator, it was a bit shameful for her to admit defeat to a human origin realm cultivator, but in reality, she knew that she was no match for Long Yu. "You're quite aware of reality." Long Yu was quite satisfied to hear the woman admit defeat. He had purposely shown mercy because he wanted to see what kind of person his opponent was, and it seemed that she was quite good. After the woman admitted defeat, many people in the spectator area sighed with emotion. This masked mountain ghost was too powerful. Although he was only in the human origin realm, he was able to fight against a human glory realm cultivator without showing any signs of weakness. Where did Yiluan find such a follower? However, they didn't know that the relationship between Long Yu and Yiluan was not that of a young master and a follower. In the eyes of both Yiluan and Long Yu, they were just friends. Gu Yan. Long Yu's next opponent was Gu Yan, one of the Gu brothers who had defeated another opponent after he defeated the woman. Gu Yan's muscles bulged, and his body was extremely muscular. He stood in the middle of the arena, giving off a dignified aura. "Young Master Yi admires you, and your performance just now made me look at you in a different light." Gu Yan looked at Long Yu, and a confident smile appeared on his face. "However, you're not qualified to fight against me." Long Yu glanced at him, but didn't say anything. He had heard from Yiluan that Gu Yan's defense was extremely strong, similar to that of Qi Ziguang's follower, Old Black. Of course, as a human glory realm cultivator, Gu Yan's defense was definitely stronger than that blackface cultivator. "I originally thought that Mountain Ghost was an idiot. He's only in the human origin realm, but he actually signed up for the competition. But now, it seems like he's really strong. Isn't that right? Even Chuchinka and the likes were directly knocked down by him. He's too strong. But Gu Yan is not at Chuchinka's level. Last year, he even defeated young Master Yiluan." "That's right. Against Gu Yan, there's no way Mountain Ghost can win. No matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than young Master Yiluan, right?" The surrounding people were discussing and pointing at the scene. Under the gazes of thousands of people, Long Yu didn't show any signs of nervousness and stood calmly in the arena. He didn't care about the gazes and discussions of others. Right now, in his eyes, there was only one opponent, Gu Yan. Gu Yan's true spirit. The name of the Heavenly Monuments Law that Gu Yan comprehended was the Ancient Rock Law. A huge boulder emitting an ancient aura appeared behind him. This was his ancient rock true spirit. Long Yu sensed an indestructible ancient aura from the boulder, which piqued his interest. "I want to see if this thing can withstand the attack of the Netherworld aura." As Long Yu thought to himself, he raised his hand and continued to release the power of the Netherworld law. In the center of the spectator stands the third city lord of Yellow Sand Sky City, Sha Yuan Tian, had been paying attention to Long Yu's battle. Just what kind of law power has this mountain ghost comprehended? The black-haired old man, Sha Yuan Tian, was extremely puzzled. Even with his tyrannical tribulation realm cultivation, he couldn't tell what kind of power Long Yu was using. The strange, pitch-black power seemed to be even stronger and more terrifying than the yellow sky flysand law he had comprehended. He had never heard of a law power stronger than the heavenly crystal law in this world. Could it be the divine text? No, this level of power can't compare to the divine text, but it's stronger than the heavenly crystal law. This boy must have many secrets. Sha Yuan Tian sighed inwardly. However, no matter what secrets he has, it's fine as long as it doesn't harm my Yellow Sand Sky City. With such talent, he will definitely stand out in the great selection, which will be of great benefit to my Yellow Sand Sky City. Although he could see that the power Long Yu was displaying was strange, he didn't interfere. Instead, he was quite happy that Long Yu had joined. It should be noted that the 7 major forces of the Heavenly Dipper realm had always been in a state of open and secret competition. Most of the time, they were evenly matched. Under such circumstances, once one force obtained an outstanding genius, it was easy to suppress the other forces. Now, Sha Yuan Tian was very glad that Yi Luan was able to bring Long Yu back. Yellow Sand Sky City and the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute had always been on bad terms. Sha Yuan Tian knew that Long Yu was actually the grandson of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. This layer of relationship, coupled with what Sha Yuan Tian knew about Bei Yu Yao, made Sha Yuan Tian very clear that the relationship between Long Yu and the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute was definitely not good. This made Sha Yuan Tian want to hold Long Yu in the palm of his hand. At the very least, he wanted Long Yu to represent Yellow Sand Sky City in the Great Selection. If you can win first place in the group of the Renoir Realm, I will give you another surprise so that you will stay in my Yellow Sand Sky City. Sha Yuan Tian stared at Long Yu in the field and thought with a smile. Now, in front of Long Yu was Gu Yan, who had an extremely strong defense. A cultivator who was said to be able to withstand the attacks of cultivators in the human tribulation realm. Gu Yan himself was very close to the human tribulation realm. He was only one step away from entering the human tribulation realm. When that time came, his defense would be even more terrifying. Reincarnation awakening. Long Yu raised his hand and gathered the power of reincarnation in his fist. He threw a punch at Gu Yan's boulder that was emitting an ancient aura. The power of reincarnation enveloped the boulder's real spirit, but Long Yu did not feel the same as when he used the reincarnation awakening. The real spirit of the boulder was not affected by the power of reincarnation at all. This made Long Yu click his tongue in wonder. Gu Yan's power was indeed a little strange. Gu Yan's rule and the power of the ancient boulder could even withstand the power of reincarnation. Of course, this was because Long Yu's martial arts realm was one level lower than his, but it could also be seen that Gu Yan's power was indeed extraordinary. Qi Ziguang's subordinate, the black-faced martial arts cultivator's Forbidden Earth law, was much weaker compared to Gu Yan's. Aha, what do you think? Gu Yan laughed heartily as he took a step towards Long Yu. The ancient giant boulder, true spirit, pressed closer to Long Yu, causing him to feel an immense pressure. Smiles appeared on the faces of the crowd when they saw this. Sure enough, Gu Yan had already reached his limit. How could it be so easy to win first place in the group of the Renhua realm with the cultivation of a human origin realm? Chapter 407. Long Yu showed no signs of panic as he faced Gu Yan, who was closing in on him. Even if Gu Yan attacked him, he could still form the reincarnation barrier to reflect the power of his martial skill. He would not be in any danger for a short period of time. Extreme heat, scorching thunder, scorching sun. Finally, Long Yu unleashed all three types of heavenly tablet laws he had comprehended since arriving at Yellow Sand Sky City, forming three different color tornadoes that flew toward Gu Yan. The muscular Gu Yan's expression changed when he saw this. Not only him, but the surrounding martial cultivators who were observing Long Yu's battle were also shocked. Three types of heavenly tablet laws? One was icy cold, one was fiery hot, and the last was violent lightning. When the three types of energy combined, an unparalleled destructive force was instantly unleashed. Long Yu gathered the three types of heavenly tablet laws together and shrouded the ancient boulder true spirit in front of Gu Yan, preventing it from taking another step forward. Gu Yan immediately felt a strong pressure bursting out from Long Yu's body. He had never imagined that he could comprehend three types of heavenly tablet laws. Even in Yellow Sand Sky City, it was not easy to obtain a piece of heavenly tablet and comprehend the laws within it. Not only did it require talent, but it also required luck. However, this mountain ghost had comprehended three types of heavenly tablet laws. Who knew where this guy came from? Everyone had the same question in their minds, but they were relieved when they raised their heads and saw the smile on the city lord Sha Yuntian's face. With the city lord Sha Yuantian around, the mountain ghost would definitely die a horrible death if it dared to act presumptuously. Since Sha Yuantian was still smiling, it did not matter where the mountain ghost had come from. He was now a part of Yellow Sand Sky City. Gu Yan was blocked by the combined power of the three types of heavenly tablet laws. After a brief moment of resistance, he was forced to retreat continuously. Although his martial skill realm was one level higher than Long Yu's, the combined power of the three types of heavenly tablet laws still exceeded his limit. What a freak! Gu Yin gritted his teeth and released all the ancient rock law energy in his body, trying to break free from the shackles on his body. Unfortunately, since Long Yu had unleashed his power, he wouldn't give him any chance. Gu Ruo was barely able to withstand the fusion of the three laws of the heavenly steel, but Long Yu quickly added fuel to the fire. He directly released the laws of the 9 underworlds, which revolved and swept out, completely destroying Gu Ruo's body. Behind Gu Yin, the ancient boulder true spirit was surrounded by lightning, ice, and flames. It was on the verge of collapse. The last bit of the netherworld laws directly crushed him and blasted him away, causing him to not have the strength to stand up again. You lost. Long Yu smiled faintly. Admirable. Blood flowed from the corner of Gu Yan's mouth, but he still let out a hearty laugh and forced himself to stand up. Amazing. He turned around and left. Although he had lost to Long Yu, he had no regrets. This was because he could feel the surging fighting intent from Long Yu's body, as well as his terrifying fighting strength. This was something that he, Gu Yin, could not compare to. He didn't feel wronged losing to Long Yu. When the outcome of the battle was decided, the entire martial arts field was in an uproar. Everyone's expectations for Long Yu grew even higher. Since the Mountain Ghost had already defeated Gu Yin, he might really be able to defeat Gu Jun and become a champion of the Glory Stage group. At the very least, this was a possibility. In any case, no one knew Gu Jun's true strength. In last year's Sand City tournament, Gu Jun and Gu Yin had fought for the championship, and Gu Yin had directly admitted defeat. This year, they could finally witness Gu Jun's strength. Who would be stronger, Gu Jun or Mountain Ghost? With Long Yu present, everyone's attention was drawn to him. The battles in the other groups were just as intense, but in the end, it was not as exciting as Long Yu's. The Mountain Ghost had defeated so many Glory Stage cultivators with his early stage cultivation. How could they not be excited that such a genius had joined Yellow Sand City? Soon, it was time to decide the winner. Long Yu and the resolute Gu Jun each stood at the center of the martial arts field. Gu Jun's appearance was similar to Gu Yan's, but their styles were different. Gu Yin was a burly man with well-developed muscles, while Gu Jun was like a soldier with a resolute expression and spirited eyes. One look, and anyone could tell that he was someone who wouldn't be easily swayed. Clang! Gu Jun took out a spear from his back and said, "You've defeated my brother, so you are qualified for me to use the Gu clan spear technique." "So you're using a spear?" Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He hadn't used his combat weapon in the previous battles, and had only used the power of law that he had comprehended to fight. Since Gu Jun still dared to fight after Gu Yan's defeat, he must be stronger than Gu Yin. Long Yu naturally wouldn't underestimate his opponent. Speaking of combat weapons, Long Yu also had one. Ninth Hell Blood Shadow. Long Yu raised his hand, and a gust of wind filled with a strange aura drifted out. Under his control, the wind spread into the surrounding air and disappeared. At this moment, Long Yu and the Ninth Hell Blood Shadow had merged together. As a top-ranked, profound, ranked combat weapon, once the 9 Serenity's Blood Shadow merged with a martial cultivator, the power it could unleash would be much stronger than before. The biggest change of merging was that it could make the 9 Serenity's Blood Shadow invisible. As the 9th Hell Blood Shadow disappeared into the surrounding air, the aura of the entire space became strange, causing Gu Jun to frown. However, he didn't think too much about it, and charged toward Long Yu with his spear in hand. Different from Gu Yan's fighting style, Gu Jun's speed was extremely fast. It was obvious that he had cultivated some kind of powerful movement martial skill. Even if Long Yu flew in the air, he couldn't match Gu Jun's speed. In the blink of an eye, the spear in Gu Jun's hand had already appeared in front of Long Yu. With a flick of the spear, a gust of chi exploded out, trying to crush Long Yu into pieces. Dragon Sparrow Blink. Long Yu immediately executed his movement martial skill, retreating tens of feet backwards, instantly increasing the distance between him and Gu Jun previously. Gu Yan gave off a feeling that he was as steady as Mount Tai. Even when he was pressuring toward Long Yu, he didn't feel like he couldn't withstand it. However, Gu Jun, who was holding the spear, possessed a terrifying speed, as well as a tyrannical Gu clan spear technique. It was obvious that the threat he posed to Long Yu was much greater than Gu Yan. In other words, Gu Jun's strength was much stronger than Gu Yan's. No wonder Gu Yan admitted defeat last year. It seems like he knew he couldn't defeat his little brother, Gu Jun. Long Yu thought to himself. Before he could regain his balance, Gu Jun had already charged toward him once again, bringing with him a gust of qi that was even stronger than before. Long Yu had already retreated once. He couldn't retreat anymore. He raised his hand and manipulated the 9 nether blood shadows that had spread out in the surrounding air to envelop Gu Jun, Samsara, awakening. At the same time, Long Yu gathered the Samsara force in his fist and punched it toward Gu Jun. Gu clan spear technique. Circular sweep. Gu Jun seemed to feel the strange pressure in the air. Instantly, he twisted his spear, causing the Qi whirlwind to explode, directly blasting the 9 hell blood shadows and Samsara force away. Impressive. Long Yu couldn't help but praise in his heart. It had been a long time since he had met such an expert. Even if it was a martial cultivator 1 level higher than him, there were very few who could fight against him. This Gu Jun was definitely one of them. You will definitely lose. Gu Jun stared at Long Yu, his eyes shining with determination and confidence. It's not that simple. Long Yu chuckled. How could he admit defeat just like that? In Long Yu's eyes, the strength that Gu Jun had displayed was only enough to put up a fight against him. It was not enough to completely suppress Long Yu. Ancient Spear Hurricane. Gu Jun waved the spear in his hand, instantly creating a violent hurricane that carried him towards Long Yu at the speed of a hurricane. When Long Yu saw that Gu Jun's attack carried a sure kill momentum, he made a prompt decision. He raised his hand and condensed a Samsara barrier to block his surroundings. Unstoppable, Gu Jun roared. His entire body moved along with the hurricane, stabbing the Samsara barrier with his spear. The moment the tip of the spear touched the Samsara barrier, Gu Jun's expression changed. He reacted instantly, unleashing the qi in his body and retreating. Even so, he couldn't stop his attack completely. The power of his ancient spear hurricane was absorbed by the Samsara barrier by 70 to 80%, then rebounded at lightning speed. Moonblade Light. Drunken Yellow Springs. Long Yu wasn't at ease with just the rebounding of the Samsara barrier. He formed a series of Moonblade Light and urged the 9 nether blood shadow to besiege Gu Jun again. The impact of the 3 forces caused Gu Jun to be somewhat flustered. At this moment, Long Yu's lying drunk Yellow Springs fist blasted out through the air. The Yellow Springs path was instantly laid out, enveloping Gu Jun within it. The spear in Gu Jun's hand spun rapidly. A hurricane with an ancient aura formed, tried to disperse all the power that belonged to Long Yu. However, Gu Jun, who was enveloped by the Yellow Springs path, circulated his qi slowly. Even the power of the hurricane was greatly reduced, unable to disperse Long Yu's attacks. As Long Yu displayed the law of nightmare thunder and the law of sun fire together, purple lightning and red flames streaked across the sky, charging towards Gu Jun like 2 dragons. Gu Jun knew that he had lost this battle. My reaction is still too slow. Gu Jun gritted his teeth. If he hadn't stabbed Long Yu's Samsara barrier, he definitely wouldn't be in such a predicament now. However, it was too late to regret it now. I admit defeat, Gu Jun said in a carefree manner. Then, Long Yu stopped his storm-like attacks. With Gu Jun's surrender, the results of the Renhua stage of the Sand City competition were finally out. Chapter 408. After Long Yu left the arena, he began to observe the battles between the Human Tribulation Realm experts. Yiluan was in the arena, fighting against other Human Tribulation Realm martial practitioners. Long Yu benefited a lot from watching their battles. Many of them had a thorough understanding of the laws of heaven and earth, as well as the way they used the laws of heaven and earth, which inspired Long Yu. In the end, Yi Luan won third place in the Human Tribulation Realm competition, and the Human Realm competition finally came to an end. Next was the competition between the Heaven Realm experts, which made Long Yu even more interested. The age limit of the Sand City competition was relaxed to 100 years old. After all, as long as a martial practitioner entered the Heavenly Realm, their lifespan would be at least 200 years. 100 years old was not too old, and there was still the potential for further breakthroughs. There were more than 20 Heaven Beginning Realm experts and more than 10 Heaven Flower Realm experts. As for the Heavenly Tribulation Realm, there was no such division in the Sand City competition. Long Yu observed the battles of the Heaven Realm experts more carefully. He kept thinking about how he would deal with the opponent's tactics if he was in the arena. What surprised Long Yu was that by observing the battles of the Heaven Realm experts, he had a new understanding of the dance of the Dragon Sparrow. This was because he simulated the scene of him fighting against these Heaven Realm experts in his mind. The conclusion he came to was that with his current cultivation, he could only run away from these experts. Since he wanted to run away, he had to understand the dance of the Dragon Sparrow to a higher level. Otherwise, he would not have an advantage in speed and would not be able to escape from his opponents. After simulating it many times, Long Yu's understanding of the dance of the Dragon Sparrow broke through from the peak to the complete realm. The peak realm of the dance of the Dragon Sparrow could summon the shadow of the Dragon Sparrow to assist in battle. Not only could it increase Long Yu's flying speed, but could also enhance his offensive and defensive abilities. In the previous battles, Long Yu did not use it, mainly because it was not necessary. But now, he had actually comprehended the dance of the Dragon Sparrow to the complete realm. The dance of the Dragon Sparrow was a transcendent, profound rank martial skill that Wang Chongfeng had taught Long Yu. It was a powerful movement martial skill that the genius female cultivator Yu Qingsha had mastered. As a transcendent, profound, rank martial skill, its effects were naturally extraordinary. Not to mention, Long Yu had already cultivated it to perfection. Now, once Long Yu executed this technique, he would be able to transform into the Dragon Sparrow and fuse into one with the Dragon Sparrow's image, allowing him to fly even faster than before. It's at least twice as fast, Long Yu thought in his heart. This time, Sand City competition really let him gain a lot. It seems that his choice to come to Yellow Sand City with Yi Luan was not wrong. Furthermore, the many martial cultivators of Yellow Sand Heaven City were very united, which was also what infected Long Yu. A sect or a force. As long as everyone was united, there would be a day when this force would become very powerful. The Yellow Sand Sky City had only existed for 100 years, but its comprehensive strength was no less than that of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute and other forces that had existed for hundreds or even thousands of years. It was obvious that the future of its development was extremely promising. Brother Mountain Ghost, how was the harvest? Yi Luan looked at Long Yu and asked with a smile. Not bad. Long Yu nodded. It's time to receive the prize. Yi Luan stood up and made an inviting gesture to Long Yu. Long Yu glanced at the city lord Sha Yuan Tian in the center of the spectators' seats, then got up and followed Yi Luan. Mid-grade Heaven Pill, Salo Pill, and Yellow Heavens Pill. Both of these pills contained extremely dense heaven and earth spiritual energy. Whether it was the Salutin or the Yellow Sky Pill, the effect of improving the martial cultivator's realm was probably no less than that of the source of the 9 serenities that Long Yu had obtained before. After all, it was a heaven-grade elixir, and no one in the entire Heavenly Mandate continent could refine such a level of elixir. Only the first city lord of Yellow Sand Heaven City passed down 1,000 heaven-grade elixirs to everyone, which allowed Yellow Sand Heaven City to rise so quickly in recent years. Long Yu returned to the courtyard where he lived with the Salutin, the Yellow Sky Pill, and a bamboo scroll of martial arts techniques. Salutin and the Yellow Sky Pill were the rewards that Long Yu had expected for winning first place in the Renoir Realm Group. However, the bamboo scroll of martial arts techniques was something that Long Yu did not expect. When he went to receive the prize, Sha Yuantian handed him the 2 elixirs and the martial arts technique manual. Martial arts techniques again. Long Yu was a little puzzled. He had no shortage of martial arts techniques that he could cultivate now. The Tyrannosaurus of Sand was the strongest martial arts technique in Yellow Sand Heaven City. It was ranked as an upper earth level martial arts technique, and not many people in the entire Yellow Sand Heaven City were qualified to cultivate it. In the Sand City Grand Competition, Long Yu had seen people using the Tyrannosaurus of Sand, such as Yi Luan's 4th sister and eldest brother. Its power was quite terrifying. They could summon a Tyrannosaurus of Sand to help them fight, and this Tyrannosaurus of Sand was even more powerful than them. However, this Tyrannosaurus of Sand was not attractive to Long Yu at all. Thundercloud Storm, Tyrannosaurus of Sand, Divine Light of Heavenly Mandate. I actually got my hands on the ultimate skills of Thundercloud Castle, Yellow Sand City, and the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. Long Yu was extremely puzzled at the thought of this. Bei Yuyao, who was in the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower, still had 2 Earth-level martial arts techniques from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute that she wanted to teach to Long Yu, and Do Zicheng from the 9 Heaven Star Palace also had Earth-level martial arts techniques from the 9 Heaven Star Palace to teach Long Yu. In addition, Wang Changfeng gave Long Yu an Upper Earth-level martial arts technique secret manual, Thundercloud Storm, and now the Tyrannosaurus of Sand. Long Yu felt that his head was about to explode. Unless he could slow down time by 10 times, he would not have so much time to cultivate so many martial arts techniques. Even if he had the Dragon Seal of 9 Underworlds to help him cultivate and could comprehend martial arts techniques faster than ordinary people, it was definitely not possible to comprehend so many Earth-level martial arts techniques in a short time. Of course, this Tyrannosaurus of Sand was still a little interesting to Long Yu. After all, he could summon a Tyrannosaurus of Sand to help him in battle. He did not need to spend too much effort to control the Sand Dragon, which could save him energy and cause a lot of trouble to his opponent in battle. It would be good if he could comprehend it in a short time. Moreover, Long Yu's current identity was Mountain Ghost, the attendant of Yellowin, the young master of Yellow Sand Sky City. Under such circumstances, he could not use the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light or the martial arts techniques of other forces. Only by cultivating the Tyrannosaurus of Sand could he have a good combat capability. In that case, I'll first cultivate the Tyrannosaurus of Sand to the beginner level. At the very least, he had to be able to summon the Tyrannosaurus of Sand. This was still a little difficult for Long Yu, who had not comprehended the laws of Yellow Sand attribute, but it was not too big a problem. Compared with the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light, the Tyrannosaurus of Sand was still a lot weaker. The key was that it could only be displayed with chi and condensed into a sand dragon. Of course, the martial arts technique activated with chi was not as strong as the martial arts technique activated with the power of laws. However, it had another advantage, which was that every martial arts practitioner could cultivate and comprehend it. It was unlike the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light. In the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute, even if there was a chance to cultivate the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light, many people's law attributes were not compatible with the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light. As a result, the power of the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light was not enough. It was better to cultivate other Earth-level or even Shin-level martial arts techniques, which were much more cost-effective. Of course, if it was a martial arts practitioner who had comprehended the law attribute like the yellow sky, flying sand, it would undoubtedly be easier to comprehend the Tyrannosaurus of Sand. The Tyrannosaurus of Sand is to condense the yellow sand Tyrannosaurus with chi and give it the intelligence to fight freely. It's easy to condense a sand dragon, but the key is to give it the intelligence to fight freely, which is more troublesome. Long Yu pondered for a few days before finally getting ready to try using the Tyrannosaurus of Sand. After all, this martial arts technique was different from the martial arts techniques that Long Yu had cultivated in the past. He needed to spend more time thinking about it. If he really had to compare it, it was somewhat similar to the summoning Emperor Spirit method of the Chu clan of the Tang dynasty. The Summoning Emperor Spirit method summons the spirit of the ancestor of the Chu clan. But this Tyrannosaurus of sand is to condense my own chi into a yellow sand Tyrannosaurus of sand that has the intelligence to fight, which is obviously more difficult. Long Yu continued to practice, and Yi Luan would occasionally come over to give him some pointers. After about 10 days, Long Yu had really comprehended this technique to the beginner level. He could summon a small yellow sand Tyrannosaurus with a raise of his hand, which was about the same level as an ordinary cultivator of the initial human realm. In other words, when Long Yu fought in the future, he would have an additional human realm helper, and it was a renewable helper. Even if it was defeated in battle, he could summon another one at any time. After comprehending the Tyrannosaurus of sand, Long Yu began to absorb the Salutin and Yellow Heaven pills. These two mid-grade sky-level pills contained extremely dense spiritual chi of heaven and earth, which was very effective in improving a martial cultivator's cultivation. Long Yu consumed them one by one, then stored all the spiritual chi in the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds. He then felt a little emotional. If an ordinary initial human realm martial cultivator obtained these two pills, they would definitely not be able to break through to the human glory realm. However, Long Yu had the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds, so his efficiency in absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was at least 3 times that of an ordinary martial cultivator. Long Yu's absorption of these 2 pills was equivalent to the absorption of 6 pills by an ordinary martial cultivator. Let's see if I can break through to the human glory realm. Long Yu's eyes lit up, and he began preparing for the breakthrough. At this moment, several martial arts cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Academy arrived outside the Yellow Sand Sky City. Logically speaking, there was a lot of enmity between Yellow Sand Sky City and the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The arrival of martial cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Academy would definitely not be a good thing. However, what surprised the guards at the city gate of Yellow Sand Sky City was that these powerful martial cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Academy looked like they were in a mess. The Heavenly Mandate Academy is under attack, and its destruction is imminent. We invite all major sects for help. Chapter 409. Long Yu was absorbing the Salodan and Yellow Heaven elixir. He first stored all the medicinal power in the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds, and then prepared to slowly absorb it into his body. However, at this moment, Yi Luan came to find him. "Mountain Ghost, something happened." This was the first thing Yi Luan said when he saw Long Yu. Long Yu was a little confused. What had happened? Something big happened at the Heavenly Mandate Institute. Yi Luan continued and then explained, "Don't they have the 88-star beast garden over there? Exotic beasts from the alien world captured from the ancient Dragonbone Tower are imprisoned there. Usually, they're used for disciples to fight with exotic beasts to increase their combat experience. But not long ago, the 88-star beast gardens of the 5 great schools of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute were in turmoil at the same time. A commotion in the 88-star beast garden? Long Yu frowned slightly and thought of the situation when he participated in the sacred selection of Heavenly Mandate. One of the rounds of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was to pick out some exotic beasts from the 88-star beast garden and let the martial arts cultivators fight with these exotic beasts. The strength of the exotic beasts, other than being divided by the martial arts plane, was also divided into upper, middle, and lower levels. At the same martial arts realm, the difference between the upper and middle level exotic beasts and the middle and lower level exotic beasts was huge. It's not just a commotion. Yi Luan shook his head and said with a serious expression, "Just now some people from the Heavenly Mandate Institute came and asked for help. They said that the exotic beasts in the 88-star beast garden seemed to have a unified leader and actually took over the beast garden. Soon, Long Yu understood the details of the situation. In the beginning, the exotic beasts in the 88-star beast garden all united and even escaped from the beast cages. They occupied the 88-star beast garden and killed the martial practitioners guarding the beast garden. After that, all the disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Institute who entered the beast garden did not come out. It seemed that they had died inside. And not long ago, the number of exotic beasts in the 88-star Beast Garden suddenly increased. There were even some terrifying existences that people felt that they could not resist appearing in the center of the Beast Garden. Countless exotic beasts rushed out of the Beast Garden and hunted the disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Institute everywhere. In such an emergency, the headmasters of the Heavenly Mandate Academy could only lead their disciples and temporarily leave the Heavenly Mandate Academy, because even the headmasters of the Heavenly Mandate Academy could not withstand the beast tide of so many beasts. So, the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute is now completely occupied by the exotic beasts. Long Yu was puzzled. That's right. The disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute have either gone out to ask for help from other forces or stayed with their respective masters to monitor the current situation of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. Yi Luan nodded and said, "If things continue to develop, I'm afraid the entire Heavenly Mandate continent will be destroyed. Are we going to help?" Long Yu asked. "Yes, my master has given the order to send half of our martial arts cultivators who have reached the Renoir realm to help the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute." Yi Luan nodded. At the same time, he was a little worried. "I hope this is not a trick of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute." "Probably not." Long Yu frowned. He lowered his head and looked down. In the Heavenly Dipper realm, he could indeed sense waves after waves of auras that caused his heart to palpitate. Most likely, the strange beasts in the 88-star Beast Garden had all escaped. "I'll go with you," Long Yu said. "Yes, I came here to ask you. Your strength is beyond the ordinary martial arts cultivators of the Renoir realm." Yi Luan smiled and nodded. Gu Yin and Gu Jun were already waiting outside, ready to go with Yi Luan and Long Yu to help the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. "We are responsible for the support of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, together with Fourth Sister's people," Yi Luan explained and led the three of them out of the Yellow Sand Sky City. Soon, they saw his fourth sister waiting at the city gate. Yi Luan's fourth sister's name was He Qin Xue. She wore a long white dress and looked like a fairy. Her face was beautiful, and the tenderness in her eyes was intoxicating. Beside He Qin Xue, there were many female disciples of the Yellow Sand Sky City. Among them, the woman who fought with Long Yu in the Sand City Major competition was also there. Now, Long Yu knew that the woman's name was Xia Yuqian. She was He Qin Xue's cousin. He Qin Xue's martial arts realm had reached the Tianhua realm. It could be said that she was one of the 10 strongest people in the entire Yellow Sand Sky City, except for the City Lord. This time, the situation is extremely urgent. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute has sent a request for help to the entire Heavenly Star Realm. "Let's go as soon as possible." He Qin Xue glanced at Yi Luan and the others, nodded, and said lightly, "As you say, senior sister." Yi Luan said respectfully, and then began to descend with He Qin Xue. From the 25th to the 10th level of the Heavenly Star Realm, every 2 levels were separated by tens of thousands of feet. The distance was not very close, but for a group of Celestial Secret Realm warriors, it was not a big deal. He Qin Xue led Long Yu and the others, a total of 14 people, all the way to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. The closer they got to the 10th level of the Heavenly Star Realm, the more they could feel the heart-palpitating aura, which made everyone's face involuntarily show a touch of seriousness. Such a frightening aura seemed to have never appeared in the entire Heavenly Mandate continent. Halfway there, suddenly another group of martial arts practitioners appeared in everyone's sight not far away. It was a group of martial arts practitioners in white robes with long swords on their backs. There were more than 10 of them, and each of them had cultivation above the Renoir realm. It's the Kanglin Sword Sect. It seems that they also received the request for help from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute and sent people to support us. Yi Luan lowered his voice and said, "Kanglin Sword Sect?" Long Yu glanced at the group of martial arts practitioners with swords and remembered that he had heard of this Kanglin Sword Sect before. It was because Yi Luan invited the young genius, by Chen Yin, to join the Kanglin Sword Sect. Bai Chunyan, as expected, is inside. Long Yu saw a proud young man among the group of martial arts practitioners from the Kanglan Sword sect. Wasn't that Bai Chunyan, the genius of Yunyues City of the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation? When Long Yu saw Bai Chunyan, of course, also saw Yi Luan. He did not recognize Long Yu, but he smiled at Yi Luan disdainfully. It was obvious that he was still brooding over what had happened in the past. A narrow-minded person will not amount to much. Long Yu thought to himself, but he did not say anything. After all, now was not the time to settle this kind of grudge. The most important thing now was to rush to the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute and see what was going on over there. Mountain Ghost, the one leading the group of martial arts practitioners from the Kanglan Sword sect, is the genius you asked me about. Yanxing at this moment. Yi Lun looked at one of the martial arts practitioners from the Kanglan Sword sect. Long Yu followed his gaze and looked at that person. He saw that the person was wearing a white robe and carrying 9 long swords on his back. His entire person was handsome and elegant. He was actually a martial arts practitioner who had reached the Tianhua realm, and he was the leader of the group of martial arts practitioners from the Kanglan Sword sect. Could it really be him? Long Yu frowned slightly. He realized that the guy named Yanxing did look a little like Yin Huanma. However, Yanxing's appearance was obviously still that of a teenager, as if he was 16 or 17 years old. This was very consistent with Yin Huanma's description, because Yin Huanma's younger brother had stepped into the heavenly being secret realm at a very young age, and his appearance had not changed much. Long Yu could not be sure whether it was him or not. However, Yin Huanma was now at the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. When he went to the Northern Academy, Yin Huanma would definitely see this genius named Yanxing. By then, he would know whether this Yanxing was Yin Huanma's younger brother. He Qinchu had glanced at the people from the Kanglan Sword sect and did not say anything. The martial arts practitioners from the Kanglan Sword sect, under the leadership of the young genius Yanxing, did not have any intention of approaching. Soon, everyone passed through the 11th level of the Heavenly Spirit and arrived at the level where the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate was. Yi Futian raised his head and looked into the distance. He saw a large group of disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute floating in the air. Even those who had not yet entered the Heavenly Secret Realm were stepping on flying weapons. Their faces were filled with panic. The aura of the exotic beasts here is so strong. As soon as they arrived at this level of the Heavenly Spirit, Long Yu frowned. He felt that the aura of the exotic beasts coming from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate was even stronger than the one on the 6th level of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. This was undoubtedly not good news. This meant that the exotic beasts occupying the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate were definitely stronger than those imprisoned in the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. In addition to the people from Yellow Sand Sky City and the Kanglan Sword sect, there were already martial arts practitioners from several other forces present. One of them, a skinny man with a hideous look, was leading a group of martial arts practitioners and was about to set off. You people from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Academy are all useless. How can a mere exotic beast scare you so much that you don't even want your sect anymore? What a joke. The skinny man sneered and waved his hand. Disciples of the Thundercloud Castle, listen to my command. Follow me to the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate and exterminate those exotic beasts. All the benefits will belong to you. These words made the 20 or so disciples of the Thundercloud Castle around him cheer. For them, exterminating the exotic beasts was secondary. How many benefits could they obtain in the territory of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate? Even if they snatched some treasures from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the people of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate could not say anything because they were here to help exterminate the exotic beasts. It turns out that the people of the Thundercloud Castle are here to loot a burning house. Yi Luan frowned. The skinny man in the lead is the second in command of the Thundercloud Castle, a subordinate of Ning Yixing, the soul-chasing evil ghost. But I don't know if he's Gui San or Gui Air. He is a warrior in the Heavenly Hua realm like Fourth Sister. Long Yu heard this and nodded. He had previously killed Wolf Guard Wolf 7, the subordinate of Lei Wensheng, the Ingrate. He did not expect to encounter the subordinate of Ning Yixing, the soul-chasing evil ghost. He did not know if it was Gui Air or Gui San. It seemed that the three leaders of the Thundercloud Castle, the first three of the 7 calamities of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, all liked to name their subordinates according to numbers. It was a strange hobby. Long Yu glanced at the field and saw that almost everyone in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm had gathered here. There were thousands of people in total floating in the air. The leader was naturally the headmaster of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, Bei Tianyi. And behind Bei Tianyi, Xuanji, Shanhai, and others also followed. Hearing the words of the leader of the Thundercloud Castle, they were all filled with indignation. Chapter 410. Bai Tianyi looked at the skinny cultivator from the Thundercloud Fortress and frowned slightly. Sir Gui San, don't be too anxious. It's better to wait for everyone to arrive first. Those strange beasts aren't easy to deal with. Our brothers from the Thundercloud Castle are not as cowardly as your Heavenly Mandate Academy. Gui San smiled and raised his hand. He led more than 20 people behind him and flew toward the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Obviously, this group of people wanted to take advantage of the situation. However, the people of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy were not only indignant, but also gloating. Obviously, no one thought that Gui San and his group could gain anything by going to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy alone. Long Yu glanced at the thousands of people in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy and quickly found many familiar figures, such as Xuanji and Shanhai, who stood straight behind Bei Tianyi. In addition, Yan Huanma, Man Xian, and Tian Yutian, 3 of Long Yu's friends, were floating in the air among the crowd, each with a worried look. Without exception, these 3 people had all entered the secret realm of celestial beings. Yunzi, Ji Tianxi, Eater, Shuelon, Mo Shang, and Brother to Barbarian. Long Yu shifted his gaze and soon found the figures of these 6 people. Among them, Ji Tianxi and Shuelon had actually broken through to the Renhua realm. Ji Tianxi and Yunzi were warriors from the Tianyun Sword Kingdom. Eater was from the North Sea Kingdom. Shuelon was from the Ice Source Temple, and Mo Shang and Brother to Barbarian were from 2 different demon kingdoms. Unfortunately, the warrior from Dragon Do, Bai Shinying, had died in the hands of Long Yu. Otherwise, he would have broken through to the Renhua realm. Looking at the expressions on these people's faces, Long Yu knew that the Heavenly Mandate Academy was indeed in great trouble this time, and it was not a joke. Long Yu followed Yi Luan's 4th sister, He Qin Xue, and a total of 14 people from Yellow Sand Sky City. Not far away, there were more than 10 people from the Kanglan Sword sect, led by the genius Yan Xing. The 2 teams quickly approached the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Long Yu noticed that when Yin Huan Mo saw the Azure Water Sword sect's prodigy, Yan Xing, leading the group, his expression changed. This Yan Xing is Yin Huan Mo's younger brother, the guy who killed our father? Long Yu glanced at Yan Xing and knew what was going on. Of course, Long Yu didn't have a good impression of the guy who killed his own father, but now was obviously not the time to be entangled in this matter, not to mention that Long Yu was no match for that kid. The 2 of them soon arrived in front of Bei Tianyi. North Court Lord, He Qin Xue greeted him. Although both of them were in the Tianhua realm, He Qin Xue was still an elder. Thank you, everyone, for coming to help. Bei Tianyi cupped his hands at He Qin Xue and glanced at the crowd. His gaze paused on Long Yu, who was wearing a ghost mask. He seemed to see something familiar on Long Yu. However, he didn't think too much about it. After all, the situation of the entire Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate was too urgent. Yellow Sand Sky City, Yiluan. I've heard Bai Qinyan mention you. At this moment, the genius youth of Kanglan Sword sect, Yan Xing, also came in front of Bei Tianyi with the crowd. He didn't say anything to Bei Tianyi, but instead looked at Yiluan. Yiluan raised his eyebrows and glanced at Yan Xing, but he didn't say anything. Bai Chunyin said that you were disrespectful to him. Since we've met today, it's a good day to settle our past grievances. Yan Xing's handsome lips curled up slightly as he spoke. That's right, Yi Luan. You once looked down on me and taught me a lesson because of a 20-year-old initial human realm kid. Today Bai Chunyin, will get back at you. Bai Chunyin, who was behind Yan Xing, stepped forward and spoke to Yi Luan in disdain. You want to fight me? Now. Yi Luan found it a little funny. Although Bai Chunyin was a genius, he was only in the initial human realm. How dare he challenge Yi Luan, who had already stepped into the human tribulation realm, when he was only in the initial human realm? Not you. Bai Chunyin smiled disdainfully. Sooner or later, I will challenge you and defeat you fair and square. But today, the person I want to challenge is him. After saying this, Bai Chunyin pointed at Long Yu, who was beside Yi Luan. This kid is that Long Yu from back then, right? That day, you actually taught me a lesson because of this kid. Today, I will challenge this kid and let you see who is the real genius. Bai Chunyin looked at Long Yu and sneered. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned, especially those from the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Everyone, including Bai Tianyi, looked at the devil mask on Long Yu's face in surprise. This guy was Long Yu? My name is Shan Gue. When Long Yu heard this, he remained calm and said in a slightly hoarse voice, I don't know who this Long Yu you speak of is, but I am indebted to young Lord Yi. How dare you look down on him? Today, I will make you pay. That's right, his name is Shan Gue. If you want to challenge him, then go ahead. The Northern Academy Lord, Brother Yan Xing, and I can all be witnesses. A smile appeared on He Qin Shue's pretty face. But you better not regret it. Well, I regret it. Bai Chunyin looked at He Qin Shue with disdain. There was a hint of greed in his eyes. You are quite pretty. I heard from my brother that your name is He Qin Shue. It would be nice to be my wife. These words immediately shocked and angered the people from Yellow Sand Sky City. They were shocked because this kid was too bold. They were angry because this kid dared to tease He Qin Shue. It should be known that He Qin Shue was one of the top beauties in Yellow Sand City. Shan Gue, teach this kid a lesson. Let him know how powerful you are. That's right. We are both at the human initial realm, but this kid is so arrogant. If we don't teach him a lesson, he won't know that there is always someone better out there. Shan Gue, go. I believe in you. The people from Yellow Sand Sky City shouted angrily. They looked at Bai Chunyin as if he was already a dead man. After all, everyone in Yellow Sand Sky City knew the true strength of Shan Gue. Shan Gue had won the division of the human glory realm. What was there to be afraid of against a brat at the human initial realm? When Long Yu rose into the air and prepared to face Bai Chunyin's challenge, everyone was looking forward to it. The people from Yellow Sand Sky City hoped that Long Yu would teach the arrogant Bai Chunyin a lesson and let him know the consequences of provoking Yellow Sand Sky City. The people from the Kanglan Sword Sect were also well aware of Bai Chunyin's strength. They were all waiting to see Yellow Sand Sky City become a joke. As for the people from the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, including Bai Tianyi, Yan Huanma, Man Exen, Tian Yutian, and the others, they watched the scene with anticipation and confusion. To them, the outcome of the battle between Long Yu and Bai Chunyin was not important. What was important was Long Yu's identity. Long Yu had clearly been left in the ancient Dragon Bone Tower a long time ago. How could he possibly appear here? The people of Yellow Sand Sky City all called this guy Shan Gue, but Bai Chunyin said that this guy was called Long Yu. Could it be that Bai Chunyin had seen Long Yu before? In any case, Bai Tianyi and the others all felt that as long as they saw Long Yu fight, they would know whether he was Long Yu or not. After all, Long Yu had participated in the sacred selection of the Heavenly Mandate Realm before. Many people were very familiar with Long Yu's fighting style. Long Yu rose into the air and looked at Bai Chunyin. He remembered that when he met this guy in the Heavenly Cloud Sword Kingdom, he had exposed his identity as Long Yu. He couldn't help but curse himself for being careless. This Bai Chunyin cannot be left alive. Otherwise, my identity will definitely be exposed. Long Yu thought to himself. Although he didn't have to hide his identity, if his identity was exposed, it would still bring him great inconvenience. Even if he was a member of Yellow Sand Sky City, some trouble was unavoidable. Originally, Bai Tianyi was very displeased with Bai Qinyan's challenge at this time. After all, the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was in dire straits. But when he heard the two words, Long Yu, come out of Bai Qinyan's mouth, he suppressed the displeasure in his heart and became a little curious. Then let's wait for these two brats to finish fighting first. Bai Tianyi didn't say anything, but his eyes were fixed on Long Yu, for fear of missing the slightest detail. Long Yu was wearing a black robe and a ghost mask. At first glance, he looked just like his name, like a mountain ghost. He and Bai Qinyan stood facing each other in midair. Blue waved snow sword. Bai Qinyan held the long sword in his hand and waved it at Long Yu. Suddenly, a piece of sword qi condensed from white snow flew toward Long Yu. With this piece of sword qi, the surrounding space seemed to be covered in white snow, and the temperature plummeted. A supreme, profound, level martial arts technique comprehended to the initial level. Long Yu felt the power contained in his opponent's move and couldn't help but smile. Bai Qinyan hadn't been in the blue wave sword sect for long and could only cultivate one supreme, profound level martial arts technique. Moreover, he had only reached the initial level. This made Long Yu's heart calm. It seemed that he didn't need to use any special methods to deal with this brat. In order to not let Bai Tianyi and the others see through his identity, he had to use a move that he hadn't used in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. It would be best if he used the martial arts techniques of Yellow Sand Sky City. Sand Tyrannosaurus. Facing the sword qi condensed by Bai Qinyan, Long Yu raised his head, and the qi in his body instantly condensed into a violent sand dragon. It was more than 10 feet long, and as soon as it appeared, it flew around Long Yu. Go! With a thought from Long Yu, the violent sand dragon directly blew away the snow-white sword qi in the surroundings. Then, with the power of a gale, it attacked Bai Qinyan, who was not far away. Blue wave snow sword condense. Bai Qinyan's expression changed. He swung the long sword in his hand and directly condensed the snow-white sword qi in the surroundings into a beam. Then he suddenly shot it toward the Sand Tyrannosaurus, as if he wanted to defeat this Sand Tyrannosaurus in one move. Unfortunately, the Sand Tyrannosaurus was the top martial arts technique of Yellow Sand Sky City, and it was ranked as an Upper Earth level martial arts technique. Even if Long Yu had only comprehended it to the initial level, it wasn't something that Bai Qinyan could defeat with just the blue wave snow sword. Kill! A strong, murderous intent exploded from Long Yu's body, and he urged the Sand Tyrannosaurus to attack Bai Qinyan. The sword qi of the blue wave snow sword that Bai Qinyan condensed was swallowed by the Sand Tyrannosaurus. Then, the brat's expression changed, and he immediately released the true spirit behind him. Unfortunately, Long Yu didn't care about the true spirit of the long sword that he released. He directly controlled the Sand Tyrannosaurus to roar and swallow him in one gulp. Chapter 411. When Bai Qinyan was sucked into the Sand Tyrant Dragon, the Azure Water Sword Sect's leader, Yin Xing, had a slight change in expression. He quickly flew over and raised his hand, ready to blast away Long Yu's Tyrannosaurus of Sand. Yin Xing was a terrifying cultivator in the Tianhua realm. If he made a move, he would definitely be able to save Bai Qinyan and even severely injure Long Yu, or even kill him. For a Tianhua realm cultivator, dealing with Long Yu was just a matter of waving their hands. However, when Yin Xing stepped forward, someone from Yellow Sand City's side also flew out. It was Yiluan's fourth senior sister, He Qin Xue. He Qin Xue, who was dressed in a white robe, flew through the air and directly blocked Yin Xing's way. The two of them challenged each other fairly, and it was Bai Qinyan who initiated it first. Don't you think it's a little too unkind for you to interfere now? Get lost. Yin Xing's handsome face turned cold as he glared at He Qin Xue. You dare stop me? Do you want to die? Haha, what a joke. Are the Azure Water Sword Sect members so sore losers? Behind them, Yulin burst out laughing. Bai Chenyin is so arrogant that he wants to challenge our brother, Mountain Ghost. Now that he's at a disadvantage, you can't stand it anymore? Suddenly, not only the people of Yellow Sand Sky City began to laugh, but even many people of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate began to whisper. Yin Xing wanting to interfere in a fair challenge was indeed despicable. However, Yin Xing did not care about other people's opinions at all. He just stared coldly at He Qinxue and said, "Move." "I won't," He Qinxue said lightly. Yin Xing was so angry that his teeth itched. However, he didn't dare to make a move against He Qinxue because He Qinxue's strength was definitely not below his. He had never expected that the only initial human realm brat in Yellow Sand Sky City would be able to comprehend the Yellow Sand Sky City's signature martial skill, the Tyrant Sand Dragon, and put Bai Chenyin in danger. Of course, even if he couldn't do anything to He Qinxue, Yin Xing couldn't just stand by and watch. He turned around and looked coldly at the center of the stage, staring at the devil mask on Long Yu's face. "Kid, if you don't stop now, then you're going to become enemies with our Azure Watersword sect. You will definitely face the endless pursuit of our Azure Watersword sect. You guys are the ones who asked for the challenge. You want me to stop now, unless he admits defeat." The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up. At this moment, Bai Chenyin had already been sucked into the Tyrannosaurus of sand. Even if he shouted that he surrendered, no one outside would be able to hear him. "You dare to kill members of my Azure Watersword sect?" Yin Xing became even more furious as he glared at Long Yu. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Long Yu's expression turned cold. On the path of martial arts, since you've issued a challenge, you must be responsible for it. What right does a person who can't even afford to lose have to challenge others? Since you issued the challenge, you naturally have to pay the price. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Yu's heart jerked. He clenched his fist tightly, and his profound energy suddenly erupted. That Tyrannosaurus of sand instantly exploded with a roar, and even Bai Chenyin, who was inside, exploded into pieces. The yellow sand that was condensed from profound energy gradually dissipated in midair. Bai Chenyin's body didn't appear because he had already vanished along with the yellow sand. A genius disciple that the Azure Watersword sect had just recruited vanished just like that. And Long Yu, from the beginning to the end, only used one move, Tyrannosaurus of Sand. This move allowed Long Yu to kill Bai Chenyin without exposing his own identity. "You're dead." Yin Xing stared at Long Yu, his eyes flashing with endless murderous intent. His entire body erupted with an extremely violent aura, as if he wanted to use his aura to crush Long Yu. "Mountain Ghost, don't be afraid." He Qinxue felt the aura that erupted from Yin Xing. With a wave of her hand, she also condensed a burst of aura to resist and completely block his aura. "You are a member of our Yellow Sand Sky City. As long as our Yellow Sand Sky City still exists, you will be protected." He Qinxue smiled at Long Yu. "Many thanks." Long Yu respectfully thanked her in a hoarse voice. To be honest, he was indeed a little touched by He Qinxue's actions. It seemed like apart from a few people in Yellow Sand Sky City, most people were worth befriending. At least this Yellow Sand Sky City did indeed make Long Yu feel warmth, just like when he was in the Jintian clan. After killing Bai Chenyin, no one else would know of Long Yu's identity. Yi Luan, of course, wouldn't reveal Long Yu's identity. Apart from him, no one else knew of Long Yu's true identity. No matter how Bai Tianyi and the others guessed, they couldn't be sure that he was Long Yu. In fact, Bai Tianyi, Xuanji, and Shanhai didn't really guess that he was Long Yu. After all, Long Yu was trapped in the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower and couldn't possibly have survived. Something shocking happened in the Beast Garden. I wonder how the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower is doing now. The people we sent to the 17th floor of the Big Dipper should be back soon. Bai Tianyi and Shanhai were discussing something. They obviously wanted to know the situation of the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower and had already sent people to check. Usually, no one would go to the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower when there was nothing going on. If Bai Tianyi sent people there now, the news they would receive would be that the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower had disappeared. The ancient weapon was now with Long Yu. However, it seemed that they couldn't wait for the martial arts cultivators to return. Because from a northern academy of the heavenly mandate realm, a hurricane with infinite destructive power was sweeping toward them at an extremely fast speed. Protect everyone! Beitiani's expression changed when he saw the situation. He hurriedly raised his arms and called out, "Everyone in the heavenly realm, use your strongest means to create a defensive barrier. Don't let this hurricane hurt everyone." Long Yu raised his head and felt the aura contained in the hurricane in front of him. His expression changed. The power contained in this hurricane was too strong. If he was alone, there was absolutely no way he could withstand it. Hearing Bei Tianyi's words, all the martial arts cultivators who had stepped into the heavenly realm became nervous. One by one, they gathered the power of the laws that they had comprehended and displayed their defensive means. Even Yin Xing was no exception. Although he was extremely angry at Long Yu for killing Bai Qinyin, he could feel that if he were to ignore the hurricane, most of the Kanglan Sword Sect disciples behind him would be sucked into it and die. For a time, all sorts of defensive techniques had been utilized simultaneously. Profound energy of various colors surged into appearance, and they condensed into layer after layer of defensive barriers that blocked the gale. Everyone only felt a loud bang, as if the entire world was about to collapse. Even the sky and the 2 layers of the Big Dipper beneath their feet were trembling. Such a hurricane can only be released by a cultivator in the heavenly calamity realm. Many in the crowd couldn't help but speculate. Fortunately, this place was very far from the northern academy of the Mandate Realm. The hurricane was blocked by the combined forces of many cultivators in the heavenly realm. Bei Tianyi, Xuanji Shanhai, He Qin Xue, Yin Xing, and the others all looked a little pale. It was obvious that they, who had blocked the hurricane head-on, did not feel good. "Master, what on earth is going on?" Yin Xing forcibly suppressed the urge to vomit blood and asked Bei Tianyi with a sullen face. Originally, he didn't care much about this so-called crisis. But now, after personally blocking such a hurricane, Yin Xing finally took it seriously. All the exotic beasts in the 88-star beast garden are rioting. Moreover, I suspect that there's a leader of the exotic beasts that is leading all the exotic beasts, causing them to come out in an organized manner and occupy the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. Bei Tianyi said in a low voice, "According to our estimates, the Northern Academy of the Mandate Realm now has at least 1 exotic beast in the Heavenly Calamity Realm, 10 exotic beasts in the Heavenly Flower Realm, and at least 100 exotic beasts in the Heavenly Beginning Realm." When this number was said, everyone present gasped. So many exotic beasts, where did they come from? In the past, the 88-star beast garden only imprisoned exotic beasts in the Heavenly Flower Realm, and there were only 3 of them. There were also less than 10 exotic beasts in the Heavenly Beginning Realm. These exotic beasts all came from the Otherworld. Could it be that there is a passage to the Otherworld in the Beast Garden? How dare you think about it? If that's the case, isn't our Heavenly Mandate continent finished? Everyone in the field began to discuss it. Long Yu listened to everyone's conversation, and his face darkened. He knew where these exotic beasts came from. They were indeed tyrannical exotic beasts from other Otherworlds, and they had been captured and imprisoned by the dragon of the 9 Underworlds. Now, it could not be ruled out that these exotic beasts had found a way to communicate with the Otherworld and called for help from their homeworld. "Look, the people from Jotian Star Palace and Glaze Moon Palace are here. It really is Elder Xiao Zaji leading the team." As everyone exclaimed, Long Yu turned his head and looked behind him. Indeed, he saw another 2 groups of martial arts practitioners flying over quickly. It seemed that they were from Jotian Star Palace and Glaze Moon Palace, respectively. Elder Xiao Zaji. Long Yu looked at a group of people. This group of people wore robes of various colors, and their robes all had 9 stars embroidered on them. They were obviously from Jotian Star Palace. The martial arts practitioner in the lead looked to be in his 20s, but in reality, he was already 40 years old. He was Elder Xiao Zaji, who had just entered the Heavenly Flower Realm. He was also the guy who wanted to marry Long Yu's mother, Bei Yuyao. Xiao Zhaji had just broken through to the heavenly realm a year ago and entered the heavenly beginning realm, and he became an elder of Juqian Star Palace. Not long after, he used his authority as an elder to obtain many precious elixirs, and he broke through the bottleneck and entered the heavenly flower realm. He became an extremely rare cultivator in the entire heavenly mandate continent. Such a person could be considered a dragon among men in the heavenly dipper realm. Unfortunately, in Long Yu's eyes, this guy was extremely disgusting. He actually wanted to marry Bei Yuyao and become Long Yu's stepfather. How could Long Yu admire such a guy? This Xiao Zhaji was quite good-looking, but he always had a frivolous look on his face, making him look rather frivolous. He led the people from Juqian Star Palace and finally arrived in front of the crowd. Long Yu looked at the other group of people and realized that the martial arts practitioners from Glaze Moon Palace were actually all women. Moreover, all of them were wearing veils, making them look extremely mysterious. Hey, this outfit looks a bit like someone I've seen before. That's right, Long Yu. When Long Yu saw this group of martial arts practitioners from Glaze Moon Palace, he thought of the adopted daughter of Imo Shanjian of the Tang Empire. Wasn't Long Yu dressed like these female cultivators? Chapter 412. When the people from Jotian Star Palace and Lioli Moon Palace arrived, Bei Tianyi finally felt relieved. Everyone, let's go and have a look. The people from Thundercloud Castle have already gone there, but the situation is definitely not good. Bei Tianyi said to the leaders of the four forces who came to support, I don't know if those strange beasts have escaped. The leader of Jotian Star Palace was Xiao Zheji, who wanted to marry Bei Yuyao. The handsome Xiao Zheji glanced at everyone present, and his eyes lingered on the faces of Lioli Moon Palace, He Qinxue, and other girls for a moment. Then he said casually, Since you are here, let's go. I want to see what kind of strange beasts dare to behave atrociously in our heavenly mandate continent. The dozen people from Lioli Moon Palace all wore veils of different colors. It seemed that they were divided according to their martial arts realm. The woman in the lead wore a purple veil, and she was also a warrior in the heavenly flower realm. She didn't speak, but just followed the crowd and led the female disciples of Lioli Moon Palace toward the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Bei Tianyi, Xiao Zhaji, Yin Xing, He Qinxue, and the warrior in the heavenly flower realm from Lioli Moon Palace took the lead, and the others followed behind. There were more than 400 people in total, and they headed toward the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Yan Huanamo, Man Exen, Tian Yuqian. As Long Yu moved forward, he glanced at the crowd and found that many people he knew from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm were in the group. Bei Tianyi brought along all the disciples who had entered the heavenly human secret realm. Only Xuanji Shanhai and a few other disciples of the heavenly human secret realm were left behind to guard the rest of the people from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Along the way, the newcomers from Jotian Star Palace and Lioli Moon Palace learned about the general situation of those strange beasts from Bei Tianyi. The idiots from Thundercloud Castle are really seeking their own deaths. Xiao Ziji smiled casually. Even the Lord of the Northern Academy and all the people from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm have been driven out by those strange beasts. Do the people from Thundercloud Castle think that they can take advantage of those strange beasts? His words were quite rude. Not only was he scolding the people of Thundercloud Castle, but he was also looking down on the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Bai Tianyi knew that Xiao Zhaji was upset because Bei Yuyao ran away, but he didn't say anything. The most important thing now was to gather everyone's strength and take back the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate from the strange beasts. The closer they got to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, the more they could feel the strange and tyrannical aura of the strange beasts from the other world spreading around. The source of these beasts' auras was the 88th Star Beast Garden of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Very soon, a large group of strange-looking withered branch exotic beasts appear before them, immediately pouncing towards them. It's just a group of human realm beasts. Let's kill them. Seeing this, Baitian immediately gave the order. Without any hesitation, more than 400 people charged into the withered branch exotic beasts. Since North Heaven and the other heavenly realm experts were in the team, this large group of human realm withered branch exotic beasts did not have the ability to fight back at all. They were all slaughtered. Of course, Long Yu also put in a lot of effort. He condensed the Tyrannosaurus of sand and killed many of the withered branch exotic beasts. He noticed that Yin Xing and Baitian Yi, who were leading the team, kept glancing at him. Of course, Long Yu knew the purpose of these two people. Yin Xing was still thinking about revenge for Bai Qinyan, while Baitian Yi was still wondering if he was Long Yu. In addition to these two people, Yin Huanma, Man Exen, Tian Yutian, and the others also looked at Long Yu from time to time, trying to confirm his identity. Unfortunately, Long Yu did not display his original power at all, so they could not see his identity at all. There's a heavenly flower realm beast in front. Very soon, as they approached the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, an extremely huge withered branch exotic beast appeared in front of them, exuding the aura of a heavenly flower realm expert. Baitian Yi, Yin Xing, He Qin Xue, Xiao Zheji, and the woman from Lioli Moon Palace immediately took to the air and attacked. A heavenly flower realm beast could not resist the joint attack of the 5 people. It retreated and was soon smashed into pieces by the power of Baitian Yi's golden fighting character. However, after the death of this exotic beast, several other withered branch exotic beasts in the heavenly mandate realm flew out from the direction of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. They're all heavenly flower realm beasts. Everyone's heart sank, but there was nothing they could do. They could only go up and prepare for battle. Long Yu observed the battle of the 5 heavenly flower realm cultivators from behind and gained a lot of inspiration from it. The biggest difference between the heavenly realm and human realm cultivators was that heavenly realm cultivators could borrow the power of the laws from heaven and earth to the greatest extent. Even heavenly beginning realm cultivators could borrow the power of the laws of heaven and earth more than 10 times stronger than human tribulation realm cultivators. This also made the power of the laws of heaven and earth extremely overwhelming. Moreover, heavenly realm cultivators seemed to be able to cultivate certain martial arts techniques that allowed them to integrate the power of the laws into them, producing an effect similar to the heavenly mandate divine light. Ordinary martial arts techniques could only be activated with qi. The heavenly mandate divine light was the ultimate skill of the heavenly mandate sacred institute. Not only could it be activated with qi, but could also be activated with the power of the laws of heaven and earth or the power of the divine characters. In front of them, He Qin Xue, Baitian Yi, and the others were all special martial arts techniques that could be activated with the laws of heaven and earth. They might not be as powerful as the heavenly mandate divine light, but they were much stronger than other ordinary martial arts techniques. The Yellow Sand Sky City's upper-grade, Earth-level martial arts technique, the Sand Tyrannosaurus, could only be activated with qi, but the power of this move was already extraordinary. In addition to this move, Yellow Sand Sky City also had many Earth-level martial arts techniques that could be activated with the laws of heaven and earth. Most of these martial arts techniques could only be cultivated after entering the heavenly realm. In the field, not only the 5 heavenly flower realm warriors, but the other heavenly beginning realm martial arts cultivators also joined forces to deal with a withered tree beast in the heavenly flower realm. Although they couldn't defeat it, they could withstand its attacks. At the same time, a large number of weaker withered tree beasts also appeared from all directions and rushed toward the crowd, pulling everyone into the battle. Long Yu released the Sand Tyrannosaurus, constantly bombarding the withered tree beasts that approached. Even the beasts in the Renhua realm couldn't withstand a single move from him. Once the beasts in the human calamity realm came, Yiluan would help Long Yu kill them and protect them. Not long after, the field became completely chaotic. Withered tree beasts were everywhere, and more than 400 martial arts cultivators were quickly divided into small groups, each fighting on their own. Even the 5 Heavenly Flower Realm warriors, including Baitian E, were separated by the group of beasts. Soon, Hichinshua even faced a pincer attack from 2 withered tree beasts in the Heavenly Mandate realm. The situation was extremely dangerous. Has the Heavenly Mandate Northern Academy become a nest of beasts now? Why are there so many beasts? It's like falling into a rat's nest. Gu Yin spat out hatefully as he slaughtered. Looking at these strangely shaped, withered branch mutated beasts, it was truly too disgusting. I wonder what happened to the Heavenly Mandate Northern Academy, Long Yu thought to himself. Suddenly, he raised his head and saw Yin Huan, Man Exen, and Tian Yutian not far away. They were fighting back to back against the withered tree beasts. Seeing a withered tree beast in the human calamity realm attacking the 3, Long Yu hurriedly gave Yiluan a look. Understood. Yiluan knew what Long Yu was thinking when he saw the look in his eyes. Now, more than 400 martial arts cultivators were all separated and fighting on their own. The more people there were in each group, the safer it would be, not to mention that the 3 people who were close to them were Long Yu's friends. Yiluan raised his hand, and the Star Sea Law appeared directly. It directly condensed into a starry path and extended toward Yin Huan and the other 2. Come here. As the starry path extended out, it suddenly blocked the withered tree beast in the human calamity realm and killed all the withered tree beasts along the way, forcibly opening a path for Yin Huan and the other 2. The 3 looked at each other and found that it was the team that was suspected to be Long Yu's team that saved them. They looked at each other and flew over. Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. What's going on? Northern Academy Lord, is there anything you haven't told us? As soon as the 3 came over, Long Yu asked them directly. The 3 were all acquaintances. Long Yu did not change his voice, so the 3 recognized him as soon as he spoke. The man wearing a grimace mask in front of them was really Long Yu. But now the situation was urgent, and there were other people around, so the 3 did not exclaim. Yin Huan Mo directly told the truth. In our Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, all 5 academies have built 88 Star Beast Gardens. They are all captured from the ancient Dragonbone Tower. The purpose is to let the disciples fight with these exotic beasts and train their combat effectiveness. Nothing major has happened, but not long ago, Xuanji Shanhai found that the aura of the exotic beasts in the Beast Garden seemed to have become a little stronger. At first, he did not pay much attention, but soon the exotic beast tide broke out, and it became like this now. Does no one know what happened in the Beast Garden? Long Yu asked with a slight frown. After the exotic beast tide broke out, all the people who entered the Beast Garden died. Yin Huanmo's expression was a little bad, but I vaguely heard that there seemed to be a passage to a different world. From that passage, exotic beasts from the different world constantly appeared. Just as she was explaining, suddenly Long Yu shivered all over. He felt a sharp killing intent quickly sweeping toward him. That killing intent actually came from the genius of Kanglan Sword Sect, Yin Xing. Long Yu raised his head and saw the white-robed Yin Xing not far away. Yin Xing was killing withered branches and strange beasts along the way, and was charging towards him as if he was crushing dry weeds. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. Originally, there was a withered exotic beast in the Tianhua realm that was holding Yin Xing back. But now, that withered exotic beast was lured away by Yin Xing and was besieging Hichinshua with another withered exotic beast. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yin Xing actually attacked Long Yu, wanting to kill Long Yu directly. At this time, this guy actually turned around to deal with his own people. Yiluan's expression changed drastically. Chapter 413. The place was in chaos. Withered beasts were everywhere. The 400 martial cultivators from various forces were not enough. As a result, they were separated and had to fight their own battles. The sky was filled with withered beasts. All the martial cultivators had been surrounded. At this moment, Yin Xing gave up on dealing with the withered beasts and ran towards Long Yu. Although many people saw him, they could not help him at all. He Qinxue was already having a hard time dealing with two Heaven Flower Realm withered beasts. Seeing Yin Xing's actions, she immediately cursed. Yin Xing, how despicable can you be to attack your own people when you're facing a great enemy? Unfortunately, Yin Xing did not take He Qinxue seriously at all. In his eyes, there was only Long Yu, who was not far away from him, and the noble woman, Yin Huanmo, who was flying beside Long Yu. Yin Xing, stop. Yin Huanma's expression finally changed. She stood out and blocked Yin Xing's way. Yin Xing arrived before the crowd with a domineering aura. He looked down at the crowd with a cold smile and did not even look at Yin Huanma. He stared at Long Yu and said, I've said it before. You'll pay the price if you dare to attack me. That's all you've got. You can't even deal with withered beasts of the same realm. You can only bully those of us who are weaker than you. Long Yu faintly smiled. He grabbed Yin Huanmo's wrist and pulled her behind him. No matter what, Long Yu could not let Yin Huanma stand before him. One must know that Yin Xing was someone who could even kill his own father. So what if Yin Huanma was his sister? This guy would never stop for Yin Huanma's sake. Therefore, there was only one way for Long Yu to deal with this. Where's Qihua now? Long Yu ignored Yin Xing and asked Yin Huanma instead. He has returned to the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom to deal with some internal affairs. Yin Huanma was slightly stunned before she answered. That's good. Long Yu nodded. He had been wondering why he hadn't seen Qihua. It turned out that the kid wasn't here. If that was the case, it would be easy. Faced with such a situation, he only had one choice: to release the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Although doing so would definitely expose his identity, Bai Qinyin's words not long ago had already made Bai Tianyi and the others suspicious. In addition, Bai Tianyi had already sent people to investigate the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. News of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower's disappearance would definitely come back soon. Since his identity was going to be exposed sooner or later, he might as well release the ancient Dragon Bone Tower to resolve his current predicament. Originally, Long Yu wasn't so carefree, but seeing He Qinxue and the other Yellow Sand Sky City's martial cultivators so united, Long Yu dispelled his concerns. What nonsense are you spouting when you're about to die? On top of Long Yu's head, the handsome genius Yin Xing stared coldly at the crowd. You killed Bai Qinying. I will make all 7 of you accompany him in death. Yin Huanmo is your sister. Long Yu glanced at him and said, I, Yin Xing, have never had any family. Die. Yin Xing's eyes were filled with coldness. He held a long sword in his hand and was about to unleash his powerful swordsmanship to kill Long Yu, Yi Luan, and the others. Gu Yin, Gu Jun, and Yi Luan gritted their teeth and prepared to use all their strength to block Yin Xing's attack. As for Yin Huanmo, her eyes were filled with disappointment. She didn't expect to hear the words, I have never had any family, after finally meeting her younger brother. Man Xin was even more frenzied. He swung his broadsword at Yin Xing, and 2 rays of blade radiance shot out. Tian Yutian frowned as his mind raced, but he couldn't think of any good ideas. Facing Yin Xing, whose strength was equivalent to Bai Tianyi, the North College head of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, he had no chance of resisting. However, the next moment, something strange happened. Long Yu raised his hand, and a pitch-black dragon scale that seemed to have come from the depths of hell appeared in his hand. Then, a small ancient pagoda sprang out from it and rapidly expanded. This is the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. Yin Huanmo, Man Xin, and the others who had seen the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda before were stunned. They saw the ancient pagoda in Long Yu's hand grow larger, and they could immediately tell that it was the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. How did the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda end up in Long Yu's hands? It was like a battle weapon being controlled by Long Yu. Long Yu released the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda in an instant. The pagoda rapidly expanded and stood between him and Yin Xing, pushing Yin Xing away. Originally, Yin Xing was just about to execute a sword technique to kill Long Yu and the others. However, in the blink of an eye, the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda enlarged and sent him flying, landing in the midst of a large group of withered beasts. The material of the ancient dragonbone pagoda was extremely tough. Yanxing saw stars and felt dizzy from the impact. At this moment, be it the human realm or heaven realm withered beasts, all of them extended their withered tentacles towards him. A strange energy surrounded Yanxing. Even though Yanxing was a heaven radiance realm expert, he couldn't help but fall into danger. When the Azure Water Sword sect disciples saw this, they couldn't be bothered with the sudden appearance of the ancient dragonbone pagoda. They immediately soared towards Yanxing. Protecting Yanxing was of utmost importance. Yanxing was the prodigy of the Azure Water Sword sect and was of great importance to the entire sect. If he were to die in the hands of the strange beasts because of a momentary dizziness, the Azure Water Sword sect disciples wouldn't be able to escape the blame. They might be curious about the appearance of the ancient dragonbone pagoda, but compared to their own lives, they were more concerned about their own. "Brother Long, what are you?" Beside Long Yu, Tian Yutian was completely stunned. Looking at the sudden appearance of the gigantic ancient dragonbone pagoda, he almost thought he was seeing things. "That's my battle weapon." Long Yu let out a soft laugh and finally removed the devil mask on his face, revealing the smiling face that everyone had been yearning for. "Your battle weapon?" As soon as Long Yu said this, not only Tian Yutian, Yan Huanma, and Man Xian, but even Yiluan, Gu Yan, and Gu Jun were in disbelief. The ancient dragonbone pagoda that had existed in the Tiangang realm for hundreds of years had always been used as a training ground by the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. How could such a mysterious existence become Long Yu's battle weapon? Wasn't Long Yu too surprising? Back in the ancient dragonbone pagoda, I was chased by the disciples of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate and had no choice but to escape to the 7th floor of the ancient dragonbone pagoda. There I found a way to control the ancient dragonbone pagoda. Long Yu squinted his eyes and explained, "Later on, when my mother escaped from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, I was the one who brought her away. She is now in this ancient pagoda." Impressive, impressive. Only then did everyone realize why Long Yu was able to come out of the ancient dragonbone pagoda alive. It was because he had used the ancient dragonbone pagoda as his battle weapon. Since Long Yu had decided to reveal his identity, the ancient dragonbone pagoda was no longer a secret. Moreover, now that the sky was filled with flying withered beasts, the only way to get rid of them all was to release the ancient dragonbone pagoda. When the ancient dragonbone pagoda was released by Long Yu, over 400 martial arts cultivators present were all shocked. Bei Tianyi found it even more unbelievable. Why would the ancient dragonbone pagoda appear here? He clearly saw that the ancient dragonbone pagoda had emerged from a piece of dragon scale that Long Yu had taken out. Could it be that the ancient dragonbone pagoda was already under Long Yu's control? Although it was too unbelievable, it was clearly the truth. That was the only way to explain where Bei Yuyao had gone. Bei Tianyi had always been puzzled as to why he had not been able to find Bei Yuyao's whereabouts after coming to the ancient dragonbone pagoda. Now, he finally knew the truth. She had been protected by Long Yu. That's the ancient dragonbone pagoda. Not far away, the female martial arts cultivators of the Glazed Moon Palace who had been scattered by the withered beasts all looked over. Beneath their veils, there was a hint of astonishment in their eyes. The martial arts cultivators of the Glazed Moon Palace did not know much about the ancient dragonbone pagoda. They had only heard of it. Even so, they still found it unbelievable that a huge pagoda thousands of feet tall had appeared out of nowhere. It was not just the people of the Glazed Moon Palace. The other martial arts cultivators in the vicinity who witnessed this scene were all shocked on the spot. However, although they were shocked on the spot, they were not ambushed by the withered beasts because of it. This was because immediately after, with a thought from Long Yu, he activated the power of the ancient dragonbone pagoda. An extremely powerful suppressive force burst forth, causing all the withered beasts in the surroundings to tremble. Ancient dragonbone pagoda, collect. Long Yu did not know how to activate the ancient dragonbone pagoda. He could only try to transmit his thoughts through the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds. What happened next did not disappoint him. The entire ancient dragon bone pagoda released a suction force towards the withered beasts. Many initial and magnificent realm withered beasts were sucked into it. Yu could sense that the absorbed withered beasts were all locked up on the 2nd level of the ancient dragon bone pagoda. With a thought, he hurriedly released Bei Yuyao and Dou Zicheng. Otherwise, the two of them would definitely be surrounded and attacked by the withered beasts on the 2nd level of the ancient dragon bone pagoda. This was not something Yu wanted to see. Bei Yuyao and Dou Zicheng were both stunned when they appeared. They looked at their surroundings, clearly not understanding what was going on. Yu had no choice but to give a simple explanation. Something has happened. I can only let you leave the ancient dragon bone pagoda first. A beast tide has broken out in the heavenly mandate sacred institute. Mother, Uncle Dou, be careful. The two people who appeared out of nowhere shocked the people nearby once again. Fortunately, Yan Huamo reacted quickly and started explaining to the two of them. Annie, Uncle, it's like this. After Yan Huamo's explanation, the two of them roughly understood what was going on. Bei Yao was fine. After all, she already knew that Long Yu controlled the ancient dragon bone pagoda. At most, she was a little confused about the beast tide that broke out in the heavenly mandate sacred institute. However, Dou Zicheng was completely confused. Long Yu controlled the ancient dragon bone pagoda. A beast tide broke out in the heavenly mandate sacred institute. Chapter 414. Dou Zicheng felt that after hiding in the Dragon Bone Tower for so long, he seemed to have lost all contact with the outside world and had become a little slow. He looked around and immediately realized that there were martial cultivators from various forces in the Heavenly Dipper realm among the withered exotic beasts. So many forces in the Heavenly Dipper realm have joined forces to resist this beast horde. Seems like it's something incredible. Soon, he looked at the Elder of the 9 Heavenly Stars Palace. Xiao Ziji was taken aback when the ancient Dragon Bone Tower appeared. Immediately after, he saw the ancient Dragon Bone Tower absorbing a large group of withered exotic beasts of the early and Hua realms. After that, Bei Yuyao and Dou Zicheng were sent out of the Dragon Bone Tower, causing a smile to appear on Xiao Ziji's handsome face. Bei Yuyao had appeared again. Xiao Ziji had felt it was a pity that Bei Yuyao had gone missing for a long time. He didn't expect to see her again, not to mention that she had come out of the Dragon Bone Tower. He glanced at Long Yu from afar, and his eyes flashed with greed. Now that Long Yu had taken off his mask, he naturally recognized him. Long Yu was the son of Bei Yuyao, whom he wanted to marry. To think that he could actually control a mysterious ancient building like the Dragon Bone Tower. This caused Xiao Ziji to have a certain thought. How great would it be if he could take possession of the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower for himself? However, now was not the time for him to make his move. He was surrounded by powerful enemies, and there were many martial cultivators of the same cultivation level as Xiao Ziji, such as Bei Qiani and He Qin Xue. Xiao Ziji didn't want to be taken advantage of after he got the Dragon Bone Tower. The dragon scale in this kid's hand should be the key to controlling the Dragon Bone Tower, Xiao Ziji thought to himself. His eyes were like a vulture's, clearly plotting something. He naturally saw Dou Zicheng when he saw Bei Yuyao. More than a year ago, he was the one who ordered his subordinates to hunt Dou Zicheng down. In the end, they lost the human glory realm cultivator, Yuan Haoning, and failed to find Dou Zicheng. Of course, Xiao Ziji knew that Long Yu had saved Dou Zicheng with the help of the ancient Dragon Skeleton Pagoda. However, this was not something worth Xiao Ziji's attention. In his eyes, the most important thing now was to think of a way to get his hands on the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower. Many of the 400 martial cultivators present were staring at the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower with greedy looks. Even though they were surrounded by a large group of exotic beasts, it did not reduce their desire for a powerful combat weapon. Long Yu did not care about what the others thought. He activated the ancient Dragon Bone Tower and realized that apart from being able to absorb the withered beasts of the human initial and human glory realms, it could also emit a powerful aura. This wave of pressure caused all the withered exotic beasts' combat prowess to drop by at least half. Moreover, the higher the cultivation of the withered exotic beasts, the greater the suppression. Facing such a withered mutated beast, Long Yu felt that he could deal with a powerful mortal tribulation beast. Exterminate the beasts first. Bei Tianyi looked over from a short distance away and immediately issued an order to all the surrounding martial cultivators. It was a humiliation for Bei Tianyi that the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was occupied by the withered exotic beasts. Even if he wanted to deal with Bei Yuyao and Long Yu, he could only do so after dealing with these withered exotic beasts. When the ancient dragon skeleton tower appeared and suppressed the majority of the withered exotic beast's strength, the situation suddenly became one-sided. After being suppressed by the ancient dragon skeleton tower, the combat prowess of the withered exotic beasts plummeted. Even Qin Shue, who was fighting 1 against 2, suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. She even quickly gained the upper hand and killed the 2 Heaven Glory Realm withered exotic beasts. She turned back to look at the ancient dragon skeleton tower and frowned slightly. She then took the air and stood guard by Long Yu's side. Yin Xing, I will take your actions just now as a declaration of war against our Yellow Sand Sky City. Qin Shue looked at the Kanglin sword sect genius, Yin Xing, who was not far away. Yin Xing was in a daze after being hit by the suddenly enlarged ancient dragon skeleton tower. Fortunately, the other Kanglin sword sect disciples came to protect him, which saved him from being surrounded and killed by the withered exotic beasts. Now that he finally woke up, he heard Qin Shue's words, which made his eyes flash with anger. So what if I declare war? Do you think my Kanglin sword sect will be afraid of you? Yin Xing looked at Long Yu coldly. This brat killed my sect's genius, Bai Chenyan. He is already a mortal enemy of my Kanglin sword sect. If you don't hand him over, Bai Chenyan was killed during his battle with Long Yu. Since he proposed the challenge, he should be able to pay the price. What kind of logic is this to let someone from the sect take revenge after his death? Qin Shue said calmly and didn't back down at all. When Long Yu took off his devil mask and revealed his identity, Qin Shue naturally knew Long Yu's true identity. Ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower go. Long Yu couldn't be bothered to deal with this Yin Xing gather. Stupid Naga? Pan? Betray Zhaoxing? And I? Toyansi? Pong. The surface of the gigantic ancient dragon skeleton tower was engraved with countless pitch-black patterns, making it look extremely mysterious. When it moved, it brought along a strange gale and smashed towards Yin Xing's group. Run! When Yin Xing and the Kanglin Sword Sect members saw the situation, they were instantly startled and quickly dodged. As Long Yu was only at the initial mortal realm, he could only control a portion of the ancient dragon skeleton tower's power. Hence, the speed at which it moved wasn't fast enough. Yin Xing and his group flew through the air and immediately dodged to the side. However, after being forced to flee by a mere initial mortal realm brat with such a fearsome weapon, the anger in Yin Xing's eyes wasn't concealed at all. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Kill him. Yin Xing didn't care that there were still plenty of withered, mutated beasts in the surroundings and immediately led the Kanglin Sword Sect members to kill Long Yu. While he wanted to kill Long Yu and take revenge for Bai Chenyan, Yin Xing also wanted to regain his face and find an opportunity to get his hands on the ancient dragon skeleton tower. Seeing that Yin Xing was about to make a move, Xiao Ziji couldn't hold back any longer. In Xiao Ziji's eyes, Bei Yuyao was his, and so was the ancient dragon skeleton tower. How could he allow the Kanglin Sword Sect members to snatch the ancient dragon skeleton tower away? Get lost! Xiao Ziji raised his hand and flew over like a meteor. He actually cultivated an Earth-class movement technique and used the heaven and earth laws to execute it. His speed could be said to be the fastest among all the martial cultivators present. Xiao Ziji's body was like a star as he blocked in front of Yin Xing. What do you want? Yin Xing steadied himself and spoke in a cold voice. I remember that my Kanglan Sword sect doesn't have any grudges with your 9 Heaven Star Palace. Now we do. Xiao Ziji smiled faintly. Bei Yuyao is going to be my wife. How can I let you bully my woman? His words made Bei Yuyao and Dou Ziqing furious. Dou Ziqing was about to say something, but was stopped by Long Yu. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and said, "Let them fight each other. As for what the dogs say, what's there to care about?" Everyone laughed when they heard that. Yin Xing and Xiao Ziji looked at each other. One was resentful, while the other was indifferent. Just as Yin Xing was about to make a move with his sword in hand, a shout suddenly came from afar. "You two stop right now. The big guy among the exotic beasts is here." It was Bei Tianyi's voice. As soon as he spoke, everyone present looked in the direction of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Indeed, they saw a withered exotic beast the size of a pavilion flying out. A withered exotic beast in the Heavenly Tribulation Realm. As soon as this exotic beast appeared, it was immediately suppressed by the ancient dragon skeleton tower, and its strength was greatly reduced. Even so, it was not something that 1 or 2 martial cultivators in the Heavenly Flower Realm could handle. "I'll deal with you when we're done." Yin Xing glared at Xiao Ziji angrily and turned to fly toward the giant exotic beast. Xiao Ziji lowered his head and glanced at Bei Yuyao and the others. He then got up and prepared to deal with the giant exotic beast. "I'll go help too. Be careful," He Qinxue said to Long Yu and the others, then got up and flew off. A giant withered exotic beast in the Heavenly Tribulation Realm exuded an extremely strange aura and was instantly surrounded by 5 martial cultivators in the Heavenly Flower Realm. Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, Xiao Ziji, He Qinxue, and the Heavenly Flower Realm female cultivator from the Glazed Moon Palace attacked together and completely suppressed the exotic beast in an instant. Of course, the biggest contributor to suppressing this exotic beast was the ancient dragon skeleton tower that Long Yu had activated. Without the ancient dragon skeleton tower, even if it was 5 against 1, they probably would not have had an advantage. In the Heavenly Realm, the difference in strength between each level was too great. Apart from Long Yu, almost no one else could fight an opponent that was a level higher. Divine Character Dou, Heavenly Mandate, Divine Light. Bei Tianyi raised his hand, and a touch of indifference appeared on his aged face. He used the power of the Dou Divine Character to condense the Heavenly Mandate, Divine Light, and blasted it at the giant withered exotic beast. Tyrannosaurus of Sand. A Tyrannosaurus of yellow sand was controlled by He Qinxue and constantly bombarded the giant withered exotic beast. The withered exotic beast was covered in a thick layer of yellow sand, and its movements became extremely slow. Even releasing the power within its body became rather difficult. At the same time, the Azure Water Sword Sect, 9 Heaven Star Palace, and Glazed Moon Palace all displayed their ultimate skills. This Xiao Ziji is still very strong. Long Yu looked at Xiao Ziji from afar. He opened his mouth and spat out a burst of starlight, which then condensed into various combat weapons. There were sabers, spears, swords, halberds, staffs, and so on. They constantly attacked the giant, withered, exotic beast. He was the one with the highest killing power among the 5. Astral Battle Blade. It can be activated by the 9 Heaven Star Law and condense into 9 different combat weapons. It is extremely powerful. Dou Ziqing chuckled behind Long Yu and said, "Long brat, I don't know this move. Even if you want to learn it, I can't teach you." "Forget it." Long Yu shook his head and said, "I have too many martial arts skills to learn now. Instead of learning this move, I might as well consolidate the martial arts skills I have learned in the past." His attitude surprised the people around him. Brother Long is right. Instead of learning many martial arts skills, it is better to be proficient in one. Chapter 415. Of course, no one knew that Long Yu had not only cultivated the Tyrannosaurus of Sand of Yellow Sand City, but he had also comprehended the Heavenly Mandate Divine Light of the Sacred Institute to the peak level. If he wanted to, he could even cultivate the ultimate technique of the Thundercloud Castle, the Thundercloud Storm. It should be noted that the person who left him the bamboo slip was the previous lord of the Thundercloud Castle, Wang Chongfeng. Under the combined attacks of the 5 Heavenflower Realm cultivators, the gigantic withered beast retreated step by step. Very quickly, more than half of the withered tentacles on its body were chopped off, and its entire body was torn into pieces. The beast in the Heavenly Tribulation Realm has been killed. The Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm is safe. Everyone present breathed a sigh of relief, their faces filled with joy. If Long Yu had not suddenly released the ancient Dragonbone Tower, the many martial arts cultivators present would not have been a match for the group of withered beasts. It was thanks to the pressure of the ancient Dragonbone Tower that the power of the beasts was mostly suppressed, allowing them to be killed by the many martial arts cultivators. With a loud bang, Xiao Zaji raised his hand to activate the Starry Blade. Several types of battle weapons immediately cut the giant withered beast into pieces, killing it completely. The 5 Heavenflower Realm elites all had relaxed expressions on their faces. The people from the Thundercloud Castle are nowhere to be seen. Could they have already broken into the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm? Bei Tianyi and the others could not help but think. With suspicion, they looked back at Long Yu almost at the same time. The crisis of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm had been resolved. It was time to deal with Long Yu, right? However, at this moment, no one noticed that there was an extremely ferocious pressure suddenly coming from the direction of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. The pressure condensed into a beam and surged towards where the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower was located. Long Yu felt a chill in his heart, and his heartbeat accelerated. The dragon seal of the 9 underworlds instantly sent out a message, causing him to activate the ancient Dragon Bone Tower subconsciously and charge forward. Long Yu gritted his teeth. He felt the ancient Dragon Bone Tower and the strong aura of the other party, and he was gradually losing. Brother Long, what's wrong? Seeing the beads of sweat on Long Yu's face, the others couldn't help feeling curious. Tian Yutian directly asked, "Is there something wrong with the ancient pagoda?" "There's an even stronger exotic beast," Long Yu said bluntly. "An even stronger exotic beast." Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They all looked toward the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm in disbelief. In everyone's eyes, the Heavenly Tribulation Realm was the strongest existence. Beyond the Heavenly Calamity Realm was the existence of the secret realm of divinity. No one had ever seen it before. How could there be a withered beast from the secret realm of divinity in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate? Long Yu sensed that the powerful exotic beast pressure was completely focused on the Dragon Bone Tower. No one else noticed it. Because of this, Bai Tian Yi and the others not far away turned around and prepared to deal with Long Yu's matter. He Qin Shuai returned to Long Yu immediately. Seeing Long Yu clenching his teeth and sweating profusely, and hearing the explanations of the people around her, she immediately understood what was going on. Don't act rashly, everyone. There's an even stronger exotic beast in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Right now, Long Yu is fighting against the aura of that exotic beast. He Qin Shuai saw Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, and Xiao Ziji turn around and look at Long Yu and said immediately, "An even stronger exotic beast?" Yin Xing sneered and looked at Long Yu, who was sweating profusely. That exotic beast, just now, was already in the Heavenly Tribulation Realm. If there's an even stronger exotic beast, wouldn't it be in the secret realm of divinity? Stop struggling. Bei Tianyi looked at Long Yu and said plainly, "Long Yu, I admit that you have some tricks up your sleeve to be able to control the Dragon Bone Tower. However, this Dragon Bone Tower has always been the property of the Sacred Academy of Heavenly Mandate. Now Bei Tianyi, will be taking it back." Without a doubt, Bei Tianyi also had his eyes on the Dragon Bone Tower that Long Yu was controlling. After all, the ancient Dragon Skeleton Pagoda had played a huge role in the previous battle, and everyone had witnessed it with their own eyes. No one knew what level of existence such a terrifying warrior weapon was, so it was naturally extremely attractive to everyone. North Academy Lord, there's no need to say anything more. This kid is already drenched in cold sweat from fear. Xiao Zizhi smiled suavely and looked at Long Yu with a disdainful smile. The Dragon Bone Tower is too precious. It's not something a kid like you is qualified to own. You'd better hand it over to us cultivators for safekeeping. The three of them spoke one after another. Their hands didn't slow down in the slightest as they flew straight towards Long Yu's location. These three cultivators in the Tianhua realm had actually attacked Long Yu at the same time for the Dragon Bone Tower. This scene caused He Qinxue and the crowd around Long Yu to be filled with righteous indignation. Three fools. Brother Long already said that there's an even stronger exotic beast. Instead of dealing with the exotic beast, you actually turn to attack Brother Long. Are you even human? The violent man, Exine, immediately cursed, not caring that one of them was his house lord. As expected, Bei Tianyi's expression turned cold when he heard Man Exine's vulgarities. Man Exine, a disciple of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, has spoken rudely and insulted the house lord. When this matter is over, you will be confined for a year. Disciples of the Kanglan Sword Sect, heed my command. Follow me to snatch the item in Long Yu's hands. Yin Xing snorted coldly and waved his hand to command the surrounding Kanglan Sword Sect martial arts practitioners. Their target was the dragon scale of the Hades in Long Yu's hands. A large group of Azure Water Sword Sect disciples were wielding long swords and combat weapons as they rushed towards Long Yuxuan. This scene caused Long Yu to be incomparably angry. He was now fighting against the unknown exotic beast in the depths of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. This group of people actually took the opportunity to snatch the dragon scale of the Hades in his hands. How disgusting. He glanced at Bei Tianyi and saw Bei Tianyi wave his hand. The surrounding disciples of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate surrounded him. It seemed that they wanted to take advantage of their numbers to snatch the dragon scale of the Hades in Long Yu's hands. If that's the case, I'm leaving. Long Yu snorted coldly. He didn't want to care about what was happening here anymore. If there was an even stronger exotic beast in the depths of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the Heavenly Mandate continent could only rely on the might of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower to defeat it. However, since Bei Tianyi treated the person who came to help him this way, why should Long Yu still help him? Long Yu moved his mind and put away the ancient Dragon Bone Tower, shrinking it back into the dragon scale of the Hades. At this moment, the ancient Dragon Bone Tower disappeared. The terrifying aura of the unknown exotic beast immediately exploded where the ancient Dragon Bone Tower had been. That location happened to be the path that Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, and Xiao Zizhi had to pass to kill Long Yu. In the next moment, many martial arts cultivators wanted to rush over and snatch the dragon scale from Long Yu's hands. However, the sudden burst of terrifying aura sent everyone flying. Even Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, and Xiao Zizhi, the three Heavenly Flower Realm cultivators, were no exception. How could Heavenly Flower Realm martial arts cultivators resist an exotic beast that was stronger than the Tribulation Realm? This burst of aura alone injured the meridians of Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, and Xiao Zizhi. They each spat out a small mouthful of blood. The three Heavenly Flower Realm martial arts cultivators were already in such a state, not to mention the martial arts cultivators who had obeyed the order and rushed towards Long Yu. All of them were sent flying hundreds of feet away. All of them were seriously injured and bleeding all over. The unknown exotic beast hidden in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm had not had time to retract its aura, but had already caused hundreds of martial arts cultivators to lose their ability to fight. Now, Bei Tianyi and the others had to believe that there was indeed an even stronger exotic beast in the depths of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Let's go. Long Yu suggested to He Qinxue directly. He Qinxue hesitated for a moment, but when she thought of the faces of Bei Tianyi and the other two, she nodded and waved her hand. Yellow Sand Sky City, listen up. Follow me and leave this place as quickly as possible." After saying this, he Qinshue turned around and left. Hee, Brother Long, take me with you. Man Xin had just been scolded by Bei Tianyi. How could he still want to stay in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm? He followed Long Yu directly. Yin Huanma did not hesitate at all. He had just discussed with Yi Luan and decided to join Yellow Sand Sky City. As for Tian Yutian, he was not so determined. But on second thought, he was now with Long Yu. If he did not leave with Long Yu, wouldn't there be endless trouble? At least, it was impossible for him to stay in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. All of a sudden, Man Xin, Yin Huan, Mo Tian, and Tian Yutian all joined Yellow Sand Sky City. After seeing the face of Bei Tianyi, the head of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the three of them had no desire to stay at the Northern Academy. He Qinshue led the people of Yellow Sand Sky City, as well as Man Xin, Yin Huanma, Tian Yutian, Bei Yuyao, and Do Zicheng, and directly turned around and flew away. He Qinshue raised her hand, and a yellow sand tyrannosaurus quickly condensed. The surging airflow pushed the people, making them fly more than twice as fast in an instant. This scene immediately made Bei Tianyi angry. Are the people of Yellow Sand Sky City always so rude? The first to be rude seems to be you, Lord of the Northern Academy. Qinshue's rude voice came back. In just an instant, she flew thousands of feet away with Long Yu and the others. And in the eyes of Bei Tianyi and the others, they became a small figure. Bei Tianyi, Yin Xing, and Xiao Ziji were all injured by the aura of the unknown beast. Their blood and qi were not flowing smoothly, and they could only watch the people leave. Lord of the Northern Academy, with our strength, I'm afraid we can't deal with the last beast. At this moment, the girls of Glaze Moon Palace who had been watching from the side flew over and said, "We'll leave first and report to the Palace Lord and let her decide." After saying this, the girls of Glaze Moon Palace left the place directly. Bei Tianyi was so angry that he almost vomited blood. However, what the female cultivator of Glaze Moon Palace said was true. At this time, the beast in the depths of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was beyond the Tribulation Realm, and it was very likely to be in the Divine Secret Realm. Although they didn't know how the beast appeared, there was no doubt that it had appeared and occupied the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. After the girls of Glaze Moon Palace left, a strange and deep roar suddenly came from the direction of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. At the same time, there was a sound of buildings collapsing from the direction of the Northern Academy. Looking from afar, in the lingering, colorful glow, the shadow of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm seemed to be torn apart. The entire Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm was directly collapsed by the unknown beast. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.